Midori Musha, because I definitely struggle. All right, so sorry, I'm going to get some of my typing out of the way. All right. It says I have exactly 0 viewers right now, so I hope you are all back. If somebody could verify that the stream is actually... Oh. Awesome. Thank you, Kaylee Cakes. Hey, hey, so did you get a good look at that Nomai statue? The statue looked at me and opens its eyes. Whoa, whoa, the statue was doing what? So its eyes open, and then you saw images from your own memories and glowing lights around. You mean like a hallucination? Listen, no offense, but are you sure you're still okay to launch? Like, medically speaking? No, that statue is definitely weird. I mean, if you're saying it happened, then I guess maybe it did. But why? Twitch thinks you're no one again? Did I get the link wrong, Uncle Cranky? Hornfels tried everything to get the statue's eyes to open, and nothing like this ever happened to them. I don't think you're going to get any answers from the museum statue, but Gabbro said that they were going back to Giant's Deep. I don't know which island they're on, though. Maybe they'd be able to tell you more? On the other hand, Gabbro's, Gabbro, so maybe you're better off searching for more info on your own. Geez, now I'm really jealous of you going into space. Hey, see if you can use your translator tool to find out more about that statue, okay? Good luck, and safe flying. Alright, so the game sort of points me towards the Addle Rock. I'm not sure if I want to do that, or if I want to try the crater first. We'll decide when I jump on. But yeah, sorry about the interruption there, guys. I definitely want to make sure that people have quality options if I can manage it. Hello, astronaut. Are you going into space today? Are you going into space and never coming back like Feldspar, dear? What? Yeah, Hornfels says Feldspar went away into space and didn't come back. Hornfels says Feldspar was the best pilot ever, but no one knows what happened to them. Hornfels probably shouldn't be telling you stuff like this. Hornfels says that too. But if Feldspar disappeared, you might disappear too, right? You're not as good as Feldspar, so you should be really careful not to get lost. Thanks for the vote of confidence. Alright, one more important task. Cool. Village. The one and only Harthian village, as well as the main source of explosions on the planet. The Nomai statue in the observatory opened its eyes and looked at me. I saw strange glowing lights and my own memories flash before my eyes. Hal says that the statue has never opened its eyes before, despite Hornfels' best efforts. Zero G Cave, a cave at the very center of Timber Hearth, used by Outer Wilds Ventures to train new astronauts. I successfully repaired another satellite by Gaussen. I'm still feeling the ear, but I'm actually feeling quite a bit better right now. So I don't know if that's medicine or just time or what. But rumor mode. Oh, this is neat. So I think this is telling me about stuff that I've heard before. So view rumored entry. Al says that Gabbro went back to Giant Steep to try and learn more about the Nomai statue in the observatory. Okay, lunar ruins. I hear that there are Nomai ruins somewhere on the Addle Rock. No one knows what they are or why they were built. The Nomai text in the observatory talks about calibrating some sort of device on the Addle Rock. Esker's camp. Sounds like Esker is still stationed on the Addle Rock. They've been there by themselves for quite a while. Okay, so these are actually some interesting threads for us to follow. I think the Addle Rock probably makes the most sense. But I think the time has come. Oh, lift-off landing camera? Ah, yes. Let's enjoy the view. I believe that is the Addle Rock that we're flying away from, so let's, Oh, cool! This makes flying really easy. Yes, of course I'm going to try and land on the dark side of the moon like an idiot. Maybe something a little more, oh, what am I doing? Wrong button. You can tell I'm not used to controllers. Alright, let's try and go into the carved out area. I should also... Oh Christ, oh Christ. Okay, we're not dead yet, we're not dead. Like a glove. Little scout. See beyond the horizon, illuminate dark areas, detect hazards, test the environment. All right. So we have the ruins to look for. Actually, yeah, that probably would have been a little more helpful for me to do than just aim for that. Because now I have to, like, walk out of this. I suppose a slightly more helpful thing for me to do would have been to look for the... wait a minute. It looks like an hourglass almost. But here's what I'll do. Let's try the scout launcher. That should give us an idea of... Well, sort of. Alright, well. We wanted an exploration game, so let's explore. Given the fact there was a ramp, I almost wonder if that was like a dig. Oh, hey, somebody put graffiti onto that other planet. I don't have the names memorized, although I think that's the Dark Bramble. The sound work on this is really, really well done. Oh! Whee! Aw. Okay, well, chose for me. Oh, I bet I get... So... It almost feels like it's an observatory of some kind. So if that's all... Yeah, so that's clearly focused on the water planet. So there was one with like a bunch of broken stuff around it. I'm gonna guess that that's the next one that we... Oop, yeah. I know I can check out the map to get the exact names of these. Okay, so... It's the harmonica. Alright. So I'm a little curious what this one winds up being. The sun itself? That or something behind the sun. What are we looking at here? I'm willing to guess that that's the sun, or at least something near it that we haven't been able to detect yet. Oh, interesting. So this is having difficulty locking on to something, it looks like. What's this thing that's flying in front of the sun? Wait. The interloper. Well, I'm gonna have to check that out. What? Wow! What is this thing's orbit? I don't think that was there all the time. And if I just pull that out... Right, so the interloper's still kicking around. It's getting really close to the sun. Alright. I mean, I can stick it wherever I want, but I'll leave it alone for now. Trees detected. Oxygen tank refilled. Untranslated Nomai writing. Coleus, I was upstairs testing the eye signal locator, and it can hear and follow the signals from the sun, Giant's Deep, and Brittle Hollow. Okay, well, we definitely kind of figured that on our own. However, something strange is happening when I ask the eye signal locator to follow the eye signal. The device's indicator rotates wildly and never points to just one direction. Follow the eye's signal. Okay, so the thing that this thing was designed for is bouncing all over the place. This is a curious result. It's possible that the eye has stopped calling out its signal. I see. I most likely calibrated the locator incorrectly. Privet, my apprentice, and I will make adjustments to try again. An update. Disappointingly, everything is correctly calibrated after all. It saddens me to posit this, my friends, but I believe we need to build a more sophisticated device if we want to find the exact location of the eye of the universe. Then we will build it. Don't lose hope, Cassava. Our search for the eye is what brought our clan to this place. We won't give up so easily. Okay. Man, this music's really wonderful. Oops. Not quite what I wanted to do, but oh, nice. All right, that's a photo, all right. So oh. Oh, this is the scroll tutorial, no doubt. Match. Where should this new, more sophisticated locator be built? It may need to be larger than this eye signal locator is. The southern glacier on Brittle Hollow has ample available space. I could construct a new building to to house this proposed locator. Yes, let's build it there. I imagine our young friend Kanai would enjoy that immensely. He's always held a great interest in the eye, especially for a child born so long after the crash. I'll begin construction on Brittle Hollow's South Pole immediately then. Okay. Coleus. Anona and those of us originally stranded on the Ember Twin built a quantum moon locator there, but the heat of the sun made its construction challenging. I wouldn't recommend building on that planet. So this was an offshoot of the original, we need to build something new. Sorry guys, I'm just going to pause for a quick second. I really need to, just need to finish this coffee off, and then I'll be able to not have my hand taken up with something. What do you guys think so far? I know it's been a slow burn, but I'm actually really invested in these wall fragments. Also, it's just a really beautiful game. There's a weird reputation that Unity has for being sort of like a low-rent engine or something that you can't make good-looking games with, but, I mean, you only need to look at games like The Outer Wilds and After Party to make nonsense of those claims. Sean, how you doing? Guys, Sean is the one I was talking about at the beginning of the stream. His enthusiasm for the game and his reticence in describing it is basically the reason I'm trying it right now. Okay, wow. I've seen this ruin in other travelers' pictures, but seeing it for myself, it's really old, isn't it? But wow, this is the coolest day of my life. Okay, time for some official notes. So this is some kind of Nomai locator. It can point out the different planets, which is incredibly cool, by the way. But from what little I can understand of the writing here, I think it was built to try and find something specific. I'm not sure. I was also able to translate something about this South Pole of Brittle Hollow, so I'll fly there if I can learn more. Yep, just gonna get back in the old ship and take off. Totally safe. Mostly safe. Those stars above. I mean, it's hard to call it exposition. I'd say the conversations are probably a little bit more. I feel like... the sun didn't look like that before. That'll fix it. Where were we? Okay. Before we go any further, there was a traveler. You. Do we get to roast Let us roast marshmallows and signal our friendship. Oh hey, it's you. Ground Control didn't tell me you were launching. Long time no see. Actually, I guess it's been a long time since I've seen anyone. Don't the other travelers come by? The lunar outpost saw more traffic back when our ships were less sophisticated and needed more frequent repairs. Nowadays, it's mostly used to keep a set of eyes on things. Sometimes Chert comes by to say hi, but Gabbro is Gabbro, and you know how Rybeck feels about unnecessary spaceflight. Don't go. I mean, anything else you wanted to ask? Seems lonely up here. A little. I'm in touch with ground control, Hornfels and Gosson mostly, and they radio up to chat now and then. And when ground control forgets I'm up here, and they usually do, I launch my little scout at the village. They forget about you? I don't blame them. For one, I don't check in as often as the other travelers since I'm always in one place. And it's not so bad up here, really. At least it's peaceful and quiet. You don't always get that in our solar system, let alone in our village. Don't go. Anything else you wanted to ask? I want to see that you spy on us? What? No, it's not spying. It's one-way communication that none of the villagers know about, because I never told them. What was that you whistling? Probably, or actually definitely, the other travelers carry instruments, so they don't bother whistling. You can pick up their music with a signal scope, you know. Best spot for that is the North Pole. Great reception. The North Pole is marked in red on your minimap, but the Attlerock is a pretty small moon. Really, just go north. You can't miss it. What is this place? Very funny. The stars above, you're serious, aren't you? That's just depressing. Welcome to the Lunar Outpost, which apparently the space program doesn't bother to teach anyone about anymore. When we first started Outer Wilds, travelers used to bring their ships here all the time for repairs. Our spacefaring technology has improved loads since then, but the older ships tended to fall apart a lot, like more than they do now. Using the outpost cut down on the number of launches and landings taking place in the village, and also the number of fires. Nowadays, though, it's mostly just me up here, raising saplings from Timber Hearth and keeping an eye on things. Marl says hi. Marl is probably the only one who remembers I'm up here. I should go see the big lug soon. Don't tell them about this, but sometimes I throw my little scout down and make sure that Marl isn't doing anything stupid. I worry that big tree in the village wouldn't stand a chance otherwise. Talk to you later. I'm curious if this radio picks up anything. No, unless there's a different frequency. Well, we only have hide and seek, so... Oh, this thing's gonna blow up. Run for your lives! The end is coming! I know nothing. Esker's signal scope log. Day 48. Still not picking up Rybeck's banjo from Brittle Hollow. I'm sure they're fine, but I'll feel better once I can hear their music. Day 51. Listen to Chert play for a while today. Unrelated, someone should tell Porphy and Gosson their flirting is not suitable from an aerial perspective. Day 55. Banjo music coming in loud and clear today. Sounds like Rybeck's doing okay. That oaf, I was worried. Today I thought I heard something. Strange. I don't know. It's probably nothing. Day 70. Nope, it's back again today too. Something strange is coming from Timber Hearth. Okay, I know this is crazy, but the sound from Timber Hearth sounds exactly like Feldspar's harmonica, but Feldspar disappeared in space ages ago. It can't be them. Day 88. It's still here. This is creepy. Maybe my signal scope is broken? I better talk to Nias. Oh, well, that's the guy we just talked to, so that's not as big of a deal. That is looking menacing. Alright, I'm not 100% sure what this deal is. That's as expected. All right, and this is so the game sort of told us that this is weird. Do! Get to the shelter! Ah! We're boned. Okay, first thing I want to do. What's the deal here? Okay, so nothing audio-wise. Hey, you ready to get off this thing off the ground? Ship's all fueled and ready to go. Did I just die? Oh, bad dream or something? You still look half asleep, but that's a negative on the being deceased. I know it's tradition to sleep out under the stars the night before a launch, but if you ask me, it always makes you all a bit jumpy. We must continue the tradition. So yeah, I do, I like this recording your actions and playing them back to you idea quite a bit. Yeah, the aliens definitely look really good, so... I want to see what's going on with this statue before... Also a stiff drink. Heyo, hatchling! I hear you're leaving us to seek adventure among the stars. When you return, let's you, me, and Gossin open up a bottle of the good stuff. I'm only seeking adventure amongst one star, actually. Other stars are too far away. Another metaphor ruined in the name of scientific accuracy. Nevertheless, I do hope you enjoy your travels. Good luck. Sean, I should have done this earlier when I was explaining you were the reason why I bought this game. I've noticed Unity's defaults always kill the audio. So if you would like to link your itch page, I would love people to check out your stuff. I will admit, I've been getting the notifications of your time of productivity, but I actually haven't played anything you've played recently, but... I have no idea why the sun blew up. Other than that is the thing that suns do, but that doesn't really answer anything. I should be going to the observatory, sorry. Alright, so for those of you, I talked a little bit about how you find interesting games. One of them is to just listen to people. And like I said, when people don't talk about details of a game, that's usually because it's something very special that they want to preserve for you. But on top of that, looking in unexpected places is also... Oh, there's two people by the statue now. Interesting. Checking out unexpected places, or maybe like just not relying on Steam or Epic to show you what's interesting is a way to do that. So Sean is someone who I met through the local game, sort of the game developers meetup. And he definitely does these really interesting, short, often bitsy, but not exclusively games. Hey, it's my favorite astronaut. Launch day at last, huh, buddy? It's just Translator Tool's inaugural flight 2. I'm so excited, it's making me nauseous. Just think, you'll be able to translate any Know My text you want, anywhere you are. The two of us put a lot of hours into inventing that tool, so don't break it, okay? Oh, geez, do not break it. Ignore me, okay? I'm just a bit nervous, and I'm not the one going into space. How are you feeling? I'm terrified. Don't let me make you nervous. You've been training for this day since we were hatchlings, remember? You'll do great, I promise. So what's the dirt? You're here to see the Do You Know My statue? Of course. I knew you'd want to see it before you headed off. Hornfels just finished prepping it for display today. Amazing, isn't it? Makes me wish we could see what a real-life Nomai looks like, but I guess this is as close as we'll ever get. Check it out. Looks like they had fur. Fur is weird. This is the first fully intact statue you ever found, you know, and for how old it is, it's in great shape. Geez, I got a little carried away there. Go on, you have your ship to launch. Take care of yourself out there, you hear? Anyways, yeah, sorry, I kind of lost the plot in terms of the details, but I do encourage you guys, do check out Sean's stuff. Again, it's not going to be Outer Wilds, but there are definitely these fun little single things to check out. And again, the more you immerse yourself in these types of games and people who are trying things that are new, the more likely you're going to run into something that's really interesting and speaks to you individually. So I strongly recommend that you guys check them out. Hey, look at this. The statue opened its eyes. Bet you wish you'd seen that happen, huh? Me too. I'm not even a little closer to understanding what's going on with this statue. Was it something you needed? Tell me more about Feldspar. Feldspar was one of the 4 founding members of the Outer Wilds, along with our flight coach Gosson, Slate the engineer, and me. As ground control and later the museum curator, I didn't work with Feldspar as closely as Slate and Gosson did. I can tell you that Feldspar was absolutely fearless, though. Nothing scared them. Test piloted everything Slate ever built. It's a wonder Feldspar lived to see space, frankly, but they did. Flew all sorts of dangerous stunts and explored everything they could find. And then one day, they just didn't come back. We don't know what happened, or where Feldspar went, or even whether they're still alive. It's been a long time since they left. Right. I was kind of trying to provoke it to open its eyes again, but yeah, so we got to witness that cycle. That's the only reason I know the... Ah! Alright, now we can steal his stuff. This is an RPG, right? That's okay to do? No? Alright. Oh, here's a question. Let's see whether or not the... Okay, yeah, so it does have... I guess I just missed the interloper the first time I looked. I'll wait until I get a little more experienced before I try and land on that thing. Well, Hornfels, I believe, is the one who gave me the translator, but the one who developed it is Hal. So I don't think all of these are minerals, but obviously a number of them are. Unless I'm completely losing it and there really is a Hornfels. Oh, hold up. You're going to want to get the launch codes from the observatory first. I already got them from the observatory, remember? Huh, must be inhaling more fumes than I realized. That stuff is potent. This is the first one, Sean, so... Well, if you've got the codes, I'm not going to stop you. Good luck, and take care of that ship. Well, first one minus, like, the little trial run to, like, make sure everything was working on like, the broadcast settings and whatnot. But yeah, we're very, very early. We're very early on, but that doesn't mean that haven't been spending a lot of time in the game because, well, that is my way. All right. Lots of rumors to follow. So let's, I am definitely interested in both of these stories. I also, again, want to see what that fire was about, but Esker's camp. Esker's growing a crop of trees at their camp. They seem to be doing okay, but they've probably been alone on the moon too long. Lookout platform with a spectacular view of the solar system. Esker uses their signal scope here to keep tabs on the other travelers. Esker's signal scope log reports harmonica music coming from somewhere on Timber Hearth. They claim that it sounds just like Feldspar's harmonica, but Feldspar disappeared in space ages ago. So this was the interesting thing, right? We're seeing it appear on Timber Hearth, but we also saw it like 20,000 meters away. So this is an interesting one to follow, but it's not immediately clear what I need to do. Ryback headed to Brittle Hollow to investigate something the Nomai were doing at the South Pole. And the Nomai decided to build a larger, more sophisticated eye signal detector on Brittle Hollow's South Pole. So that's something for me to check out. And then Giant Steep as well. So I suppose Brittle Hollow would be the next logical place to go in terms of like places we know. It's weird because like Brittle Hollow's not... Well, actually, no. Yeah, I guess that's the next object for me to stop by. And then, of course, there's the question as to whether or not I... Oh, this is neat. I didn't notice the oxygen refill. Oh, this is a cool idea. So they keep plants inside the... I wonder if that's to generate oxygen as well. I kind of feel like there'd be more plants if that was the reason, but I like the fact that there are plants inside here. I feel like this is a ship that... Look, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I'm not actually that interested in how other people play the game, and from what I understand, there is a lot that you get out of doing your own experience of the game, so I would definitely prefer just to find stuff on my own. All right. You know what? I could stand to get a little practice anyway. So I think the fire was in that little crater there. Now, how I'm actually going to be able to pull it off is another question. I really like the music. I know I've got a landing equipment, but it seems that if you do match velocity, that's actually the cheater's way of landing. I guess if I'm on Timber Hearth, I don't actually need to... Yes, I'm avoiding the Kerbal Space Program approach to exploration, if I can. All right, let's see. All right, I'm assuming that's Brittle Hollow that I'm hearing. Okay. Does anybody feel comfortable approaching that thing? Hey-o, hatchling. Thought you were taking that tin can of yours into space today. What are you still doing here? Me? I saw something crash on over the horizon and didn't like Me? I saw something crash over the horizon and didn't like what I was seeing in the pictures the, my little scout was sending back, so I thought I'd come over here myself and take a look. Is that a dark bramble seed? You think so? It's nothing I've ever seen on Timber Hearth before, so you're probably onto something there. Whatever it is, it's put down roots in a hurry. I don't like the look of this thing, hatchling. That's a fact. I think I'll set Marl and Hal loose on it. Best to get rid of this mess sooner than later. No one can remove an unwanted plant faster than a tree keeper can. I'll have to get a look at what's inside the seed first, though. Don't want to set everybody into hacking up a potentially dangerous plant without a better idea of what's lurking inside there. Tiff can help me haul the old scout launcher over here. Obviously, the opening is too small for anyone to fit inside. And anyway, I'm not going to blindly stick my hands into anything that looks as unpleasant as that seed does. It's a good way to lose an arm or two. Blasted seed did a lot of damage when it crashed. I like this crater. Need something from me, hatchling? My signal scope is picking up a harmonica inside the seed. Inside the seed? Huh. Don't know what to tell you there. The only harmonica player I know is Feldspar, and they disappeared ages ago. Listen here, don't go telling Neas about the harmonica music, okay? They'll never let me get rid of this darn seed if they suspect that it has any musical talent. You sure this seed isn't from Timber Hearth? Back in my younger days, I explored everywhere there is to go on Timber Hearth and saw everything there is to see, and then some. Trust me, we don't have anything like this. I reckon this thing's from Dark Bramble if it's from anywhere, hatchling. All right. So it did kind of tell me to use the thingamajigger. The thing is, I just need to learn how to equip the thingamajigger. Unless... Okay, that's kind of interesting, actually. So it's my scout launcher, but apparently I don't have it here. It's... Ow! I just want to double check that I didn't All right, so I'm willing to guess that the whatever my little scout object is only for use in space. So I don't see a whole lot for me to do in here right now. Well, I'm glad I've been able to avoid at least one embarrassing death. Okay, actually, before I go too much further, I really do love the idea of being in... Oh, wait. We're gonna crash if I do that. No! 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 I want to match velocity, not stupid orbital mechanics. Okay, well, yeah, so this is the endless loop that they're talking about, it looks like. So I'm assuming that we're going to blow up having not learned a whole lot, but let's take a quick look at what the computer says. All right, Dark Bramble Seed. Nope. All right, a seed from Dark Bramble crashed here and has already taken root. Tektite wants to use the scout launcher to get a look at what's inside. My signal scout picks up harmonica music when I aim at the seed, and there is more to explore here. So that's not too surprising. For some reason, I'm not quite sure what we do as far as the... I'm not quite sure what I do as far as the... as far as like the scouting is concerned, but I feel like it'd be good to at least make an attempt on Brittle Hollow before we face an untimely death. Again, I will not Kerbal Space Program this. Oh God! Well, I tried. Let's see if we can get this thing fixed. We're not dead. That's a plus. Oh. Oh, I am in several pieces. Okay. That's a little harder to deal with. Press X to repair. Nope. Nope. This is yes. Well. You know what? Ships are overrated anyway. We've got a perfectly good spacesuit. We've got plenty of time. Let's just see what magic we can find in this place. When Columbus visited the New World, did he say, "Oh, my ships are broken. I'm gonna give up"? Well, maybe his ships weren't broken, but can you know for sure? Oh, all right. Well, that's welcome. The fuel's going to be an issue, but... Ah! All right. Oh, that sounds like Doom music. I'm not quite sure what to do with this yet, but... welcome to the White Hole Station. If you fell through the black hole by accident, don't worry, you weren't the first. This warp tower can return you to Brittle Hollow. Nice! Every warp tower is tuned to a specific astral body. To use the tower, stand on the warp platform on the floor and wait until the tower aligns with its corresponding astral body, in this case, Brittle Hollow. If you look up while the station is rotating, you can see the alignment happens when the astral body is directly overhead. Okay, let's try that again. Welcome to the White Hole Station. If you fell through the black hole by accident, don't worry, you aren't the first. This warp tower can return you to Brittle Hollow. Every warp tower is tuned to a specific astral body. To use the tower, stand on the warp platform on the floor and wait until the tower aligns with its corresponding astral body. If you can look up while the station is rotating, you can see the alignment. Cool. We're definitely safe and everything is good. Pretty. Alright, I kind of want to see what's going on. I mean, it might be that I went into Brittle Hollow too quickly, or it might be that the ship always breaks. But I feel like that's my... Actually, no, there is one other thing I want to try while I'm on the planet here. And now that we know about the seed, I'm going to see if I can find any more... I'm going to see if I can find any more details. It strikes me as a particularly hard target. I just want to see if I'm able to fire any of those. Actually, I guess I also get the scouts from the ship itself. All right. Yeah, so the one thing I want to pursue right now with that seed is... yeah, so if I do a launch like this, I don't really have that much hope. Like I get an aerial view of what's going on, but that doesn't really do anything, right? And it looks like I can't pick this thing up. So that's not too helpful for me right now. And it seems to me I had the ability to... it seems to me that I had the ability to launch scouts on the Addle Rock. Yeah, I mean it's somewhat encouraging that the two paths I was thinking of following, one taking a look at the crater and then two looking at the sort of following the translators, sort of wound up being I don't know, the most sensible choices as far as the logs are concerned. But I am a little... Oh, actually, you know what? Because I didn't suit up, that might be why. So I'll take a quick look at the log just to see what's going on. Oh, alright. Something new. Let's do... Before I read anything else, I'm gonna go to dark. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna do a test. Yep, so it's because I wasn't suited up that I didn't have the scout launcher. Good to know. Oh God! Well, we know the seed is tough. Let's try that again. Let me out! Nobody important saw what happened. Alright, so looks like there's a bunch of openings for me to put the scouts into, so... Let's see what magic we can do. Alright, so... Ooh. Aha! I'm just gonna get that one more time. Okay, so there... We passed through the angler. We saw some trees there, so that might be... There might be the implication that Feldspar has built a little base for himself. That's also really interesting. I don't know if we took the same path or not, but anyways, we obviously have multiple angles that we can approach this with. So error duplicate signal. Oh, did I not? Okay. I'm gonna try that again. I'm gonna try and get a fairly clear snapshot of the base. All right, that's upside down, but there's definitely a campfire. Like if you take a look in the top right-hand corner, there's definitely a campfire there. So I think there's going to be somebody with a harmonica waiting for us when we're finally able to pull it off. Okay, similar idea there, right? And I'll do that one more time just because I sort of held on the look. What also interests me is if you take a look in the bottom left-hand corner, right, we've got that 17-ish kilometers, so that might be giving me an idea of where this spot is. So again, I'll try and get a nice shot. There we go. If I just run around like this, I wonder how forgiving it's going to be about okay, so that says where my scout is. Yeah, that's not all that helpful. But we haven't lost it, so maybe we just go and do a really reckless... Maybe we just go and do a really reckless move. Oh. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so I didn't know... I wonder if you can do this in midair. Anyways, that's definitely useful information. So assuming that I'm able to keep this up on the screen, I don't think I'm going to be able to locate the scout without this being active, but the way it's going right now, I feel... Ah, damn it. Oh no, we still have a signal. All right. And it looks like... Okay. So I'm gonna... Yep. All right. That counts as Dark Bramble, huh? All right. Well, let's... I'm interested in seeing where this goes, so... I think if we've learned anything, is that Dark Bramble doesn't present anything that could potentially harm us. And it did say that the angler was a very survivable species. It's obviously taken some of the heat off the the entry is priority number 1. And let's see if I can make any magic happen here. I cannot see a damn thing. Now, the scout's obviously going to be a little further away than our actual target, but seeing as it's in sort of visible range, I really love what they did with the fog here. It's really neat to go creeping into this, especially because I don't really know. Like, it's set up that there is something important here in the sense that we're finding a lost astronaut, but it's not at all clear what we're going to be facing. So I really love this. You know, we're pursuing a mystery. Oh, what? Okay. At some point I'm going to have to find something to land on, and alright, so I'm wondering if I need to get a little more calm about the movement. Okay, so that's a little bit of a struggle now. So I gotta find a place to land this. I don't remember the journey that my scout went through that well to be able to find the angler again. I suppose I could keep trying to go to the duplicate signals in the worst case scenario. I'm gonna stop looking at chat now. And that really sucks for the people who come in here and behave respectfully and just want to have a good time and share a game. And I actually talked about this with someone before, about how I was really at odds about doing this game on Twitch, and it feels like those fears are true. So I think very specifically to the Eyes of Sin and Kaylee Cakes and Uncle Cranky. I'm sorry I don't get a chance to It's not just spoilers. I mean, obviously I'm failing at the looking at chat stuff. It's like whether or not people are telling you how to play the game, whether or not people are, you know, if you've got someone hovering over your shoulder like some cognitive sommelier saying is like, oh, you really you're gonna appreciate this moment here. Like, there's lots of different ways to just make it a drag to play a game on Twitch. Sometimes just, you know, watching the experience, if someone's making a mistake, let them make that mistake. Like, it's the best way to watch games on Twitch. You know, the people who make games, my experience has been that fans of games can sometimes be the ones who make it unpleasant to stream a game, and I know that it comes from a good place, but in the end, like, letting people make mistakes lets them have the exact same experience you did, enjoying the game. And it takes one careless comment to forever destroy that that moment. So I just wish people wouldn't feel the need to correct the gameplay each time. But I do appreciate the apologies, guys, because usually when I say stuff like that, it's a very performative exit of, you know, well, I'm leaving then. So I appreciate that you guys get where this is coming from, and it's not that I don't want people to be able to enjoy the game as well. It's just to my view, it can be, you know, a game like this is a very fragile thing, and I feel that I have had enough experience of this. I love that there's still marshmallows here, by the way. I feel that, you know, I've kind of been on this ride enough times to know that it starts with somebody saying you don't need to do X, and then all of a sudden people are telling me how to play the game in much more meaningful ways. All right. So looks like it's going to tell me. Oh no, we were tracking that. So I launched my little scout into the seed. Somehow the seed is much bigger on the inside. When I launch my scout into the seed that crashed on Timber Hearth, it ends up somewhere in Dark Bramble. Okay. It is a little interesting that so many of these places are sheltering me from the sun, so I'm not feeling this this ticking clock. I mean, I feel the ticking clock in the sense of I know that the sun is gonna go up, but it's not. Oh crap! We'll leave that be for now. I do need to correct my course though. But yeah, it's kind of neat that I don't have the looming threat of the sun over me. It's more implicit. Doze off, huh? Maybe after we have a chat. But there's always an important measure. Whoa! Where'd you come from? No one's come here in... well, ever, actually. That makes you the second Hearthian to ever reach Dark Bramble. After me, of course. Well done. Say, it's you. They made you an astronaut? And you haven't blown yourself up yet. Good for you. Feldspar, you're alive. You never were the brightest hatchling, were you? Yeah, that's right, I'm alive. Been camping out here since my ship, you know, crashed violently. You crashed? You're the greatest pilot in Hearthian history. I haven't lived in polite society for a while, so I'm just going to go ahead and assume that that wasn't sarcasm. My story goes like this. I just finished exploring the core of Giant's Deep, and I wanted to try my hand at Dark Bramble, seeing as no one had ever been before. Getting around in Dark Bramble was easy, mind you. Once you've dodged one massive interdimensional vine bristling with thorns, you've dodged them all. But after a while, I run into this huge anglerfish. You've seen them? Big gnarly things. And this was the biggest one that I've ever seen. I pull a few stunts, trying to shake the thing off, nothing too fancy. I'm going full speed when the fish clips me, knocks me into a vine, and, well, like I said, crash, blammo! On impact, my ship starts making noises like it's coming apart from the inside. I think, well, that ain't great. Sure enough, I barely get out of there before the electrical system starts sparking like crazy. Yeah, Uncle Craigie, that happens a lot. So the difference is the article. The Outer Worlds versus Outer Wilds, I think, is the difference. It's either move fast or die unpleasantly, so I had to put a little distance between me and my poor fried ship. I camped out near where I crashed at first, found the skeleton later. Great find. It would have been stupid not to use it. So I moved my setup over here and planted my emergency tree seeds. Been here ever since. Wow. Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, that's how all it went down, hatchling. Make wilder worlds. Nice lock. Story's over, but feel free to enjoy, stay and enjoy the fire a while. Or don't. Fire's not going anywhere. Anything else you wanted? Found something. Lay it on me, hatchling. Found a Dark Bramble seed on Timber Hearth. That's bad business, hatchling. As Chert will tell you, if you so much as glance in Dark Bramble's direction, there used to be a fifth planet where the Bramble is now. This infernal planet appeared at the center and kept growing and growing and growing until it shattered the planet and scattered its pieces across space. If we don't get that seed you found sorted real quick like, I suspect Timber Hearth will be heading towards the same fate. And I tell you what, we Hearthians have overcome far too much to be done in by some worthless seed. What should I explore here? Alright, we're getting close to doom. That's the spirit! Anywhere's good, but you should know that space is weird here, intensely. Ever tried throwing your probe into one of these weird seeds? See there, with a little opening? It's just big enough to launch one through. Your probe tracker will tell you the probe is in 2 places at once, but I don't think that's wrong exactly, because space doesn't work right in here. That seed looks small, see? But inside it's bigger. Much bigger. I've had a lot of time to think about this, and my theory is that in Dark Bramble it kind of expands as you go through each sphere. That's why it's bigger inside those seeds. Well, that's my theory. Keep that in mind while you're exploring Dark Bramble, and maybe you won't get lost inside forever. Good luck! You reached the core of Giant Steep. How'd you do it? Giant Steep core, huh? Ah, that was a wild one. But since you're asking, I gotta assume that you haven't made it down there yourself yet, right? If I tell you how, it kind of feels like cheating. On a completely unrelated note, that sure was a big hollow vine my ship crashed into. Yep. If I were you, I'd go take a walk and see where it ends. You want to get to the tail end of that of this anglerfish skeleton here and look for a flickering light in the fog. That'll be my old ship. Path starts there. What happened to this anglerfish? Oh, the skeleton? It was like this when I got here. As near as I can tell, this anglerfish must have been chewing on the vine and eaten a seed, and the seed grew and grew in the poor fish's stomach until this happened. Gross, huh? Skeleton was a good find. The light keeps the fish away, you know? See, they're territorial. They mostly avoid each other. That's why I set up camp here. Shouldn't I tell ground control to come get you? Oh yeah, sure, whatever. I'm actually kind of inclined to go back. See a little bit more about what's going on there. I have a feeling I'm going to still waste a lot of time trying to actually get inside, but I can probably be a little more reckless. I really like this idea of repeating everything over and over again. There was a mod idea I had for Torchlight. It definitely... I wouldn't say it's like sort of the same as this, but there's a couple of ideas that made that an appealing project. That sort of make me interested in what's going on with this. Okay, kind of clipped the ground, but I didn't blow up, so I'm good. I've never actually played Majora's Mask. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm wasting a bunch of time on... Oh god, I've really done it now. Alright, we're in full Kerbal mode now. Good enough. So this is really just so that I can have an easier time finding Feldspar again. I want to try and get some of that dialogue done. I also want to see what happens when I rest. Alright, sorry guys, just got a notification. What's going on here? Are you talking about why the stock market isn't reflecting the fact that there's quite a bit of... why the stock market isn't reflecting the fact that there's like a pandemic going on and stuff like that? Welcome, by the way, Fraggist. Wait, I can still... Yeah, I see this go. So... This is a little bit of a tough one for me to answer because in the end, you never want someone like me to tell you what's going on in the stock market. But I would put it to you this way. What you buy when you buy a stock is the kind of the future, how would I put it? You're buying a claim on future earnings. And what the, so the fact that you're not seeing, the apocalypse in terms of prices, I suspect to a certain extent has to do with the fact that the belief is temporary. I suspect if you were to... Now, again, I'm guessing here, right? Because it's not like I sit down and I look at asset prices every day. That's not really what my... sort of like my added value is. There is like a discipline of financial economics, but the best that I could really say is I know a thing or two about banking. But I would sort of say to a certain extent, I suspect that some of what you're seeing are just general feelings about what the long-term prospects of certain companies are. I think the expectation is that the pandemic is a temporary event, whereas the businesses that are, that have certain asset values are ones that people sort of feel like have long-term or good long-term prospects. I think that is probably reinforced by the fact that it's a lot of small and medium businesses that are suffering the most from these effects. So like Amazon is not going to be hurting the same way that a local restaurant is, and the local restaurant isn't going to be traded on financial markets. And then, of course, I mean, there's a rather, I think it's John Maynard Keynes who said this, but it was like the market can be wrong longer than you can remain solvent. And so, it is worth remembering that it's like one legitimate answer to that question is that the collective behavior of traders is completely divorced from reality, and we've seen that before in other circumstances, but I sort of feel like that's the least satisfying answer. But the honest answer to that, Fraggist, is I feel like the honest answer to that, Fraggist, is that nobody really knows for sure. I have always found it very helpful to consider financial markets as saying that they are reflecting people buying and selling claims. Again, in the very literal sense, there are people buying and selling claims on the future earnings of these businesses. And so when you hear the statements, the stock market is not the economy, that's what people mean. The health of businesses does not necessarily indicate the behavior of the entire country producing goods and services, although they'll certainly be very related. But I hope that answers your question. Travel industry will suffer for years now, or hotels? I mean, again, it's up to your guess. So, like, I put it to this: if there was a vaccine found tomorrow, and we had a credible plan for... And by the way, I'm going to be getting back into some gameplay in a little bit, so I may have to cut this idea short. Oops, didn't mean to dig into that guy. We approached it from the other direction, but we should, as long as we can level out, we'll be fine. But yeah, so like let's play a little bit of science fiction. A reliable vaccine is discovered tomorrow, and we have a credible plan for producing and distributing it in a fairly orderly way. I may not be able to get back in here. That's a shame if I can't. Again, I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time messing around with the landing, but let's see if I can attack it from another direction. So I don't like just immediately going into spacewalks in games like this because of I find it really easy to lose my mode of transportation. But I think the lost time trying to get this thing working. I think maybe the best I can hope for is just to put it down wherever it sort of stops moving too much. And that'll be my second best. But yeah, so if we have this like hypothetical scenario where we find a vaccine tomorrow and we have a credible path, at that point it would seem to me that people are not necessarily afraid of going out and traveling anymore. And if a vaccine is a very long time in coming, then I would expect that you'd see long-term consequences. But again, I would probably suspect if you look at asset prices, not knowing. Again, I've not been looking at the stock market for at least a month, I think. I would guess that you probably see sort of sentiment in terms of people's expectations about what how long the I should pause if I'm going to talk about this stuff. I would probably see it as a bit of indicator in terms of people's expectations in terms of the likelihood of finding a vaccine and possibly people behaving like they were before. And in the end, like, there's measurements that governments can do, but in the end, people need to decide for themselves whether or not they're going to be coming out. So, but yeah, I hope that's as good of an honest answer that I can give, because really I should just leave that and say I don't know, because financial markets are one of many markets. Labor, like financial markets and labor markets, are they related? Yeah. Are they, am I able to speak with authority on one and not really know what's driving the other one? Absolutely. I think every labor economist would probably give you very different answers than what people who study banks, for instance. Although, I mean, in Canada, banks aren't the top stock anymore. It's Shopify now. So anyways, hopefully that was helpful. Where'd you come from? Nobody's been in here, well, ever, actually. That makes you the second Hearthian to ever reach Dark Bramble. After me, of course. Well done. Say it's you. They made you an astronaut and you haven't blown yourself up yet. Good for you. Have you been in Dark Bramble all this time? Depends on how long all this time is. I've been here a while, I guess. Ever since I crashed my ship ever since my daring escape from the jaws of an anglerfish. Tell me more about your flying prowess. You flatter me. Oops, sorry, I missed that last line. The story goes like this. I just finished exploring the core of Giant's Deep, and I wanted to try my hand at Dark Bramble, seeing as nobody had ever been before. Getting around Dark Bramble was easy, mind you. Once you've dodged one massive interdimensional vine bristling with thorns, you've dodged them all. But after a while, I've run into this huge anglerfish. You've seen them? Big gnarly things, and this was the biggest one that I'd ever seen. I pull a few stunts, try to shake the thing off, nothing too fancy. I'm going full speed while the fish clips me, knocks me into a vine, and... well, like I said, crash, blammo. On impact, my ship starts making noises like it's coming apart from the inside, and I think, well, that ain't great. Sure enough, I barely get out of there before the electrical system starts sparking like crazy. It's either move fast or die unpleasantly, so I had to put a little distance between me and my poor fried ship. I camped out near where I crashed at first. I found the skeleton later. Great find. I would have been stupid not to use it. So I moved my setup over here and planted my emergency tree seeds, and been here ever since. No wonder there are so many stories about you back home. You're not half bad yourself, making it here in one piece. Anyway, that's how it all went down, hatchling. Story's over, but feel free to stay and enjoy the fire a while. Or don't, fire's not going anywhere. Right. Should I tell ground control to get you? Yeah, sure, whenever you have the time. Frankly, I kind of like it out here. Quiet. Peaceful-ish. You're a little young to understand, but it's a lot of pressure being the best that ever was. It's been nice to have a break. Where's your ship? Not far from here, as a matter of fact. If you go straight past the tail of this anglerfish skeleton here, you'll see a flickering light in the fog. Follow that, and you'll find my old ship. What's left of it, anyway. Alright, so let's take a quick look at what happened. Okay, first of all, most important action we can ever take on a planet. You know, for all the cracks about my flying, I haven't burnt a marshmallow since that last one. This makes me wonder if there's a time... This makes me feel like there's something that I'm going to need to do that's related to a specific time. Like for some kind of a puzzle or something, so... Oop. Alright, so Scout's not going to do anything for me right now. Let's see what happens when I shoot it in here. Ooh, hey, that's neat! It's going to hit me in the back of the head! Interesting. Okay. Well, we're looking for the tail again, so let's go find Feldspar's ship. Match velocity is a godsend for people like me who tend to overcompensate when stuff goes wrong. I wonder if it'll let me repair it. Presumably if Feldspar can't repair it, I can't, but... Oops. Whoa! Wrong button. Alright. So... One thing that interests me is it's a different design, so it's not clear where I go inside. I also forgot what he said about, so he said something about you can look at the ship for like, whoa! Said something about looking at the ship for, some kind of information about getting into the ocean planet. Sorry, I'm bad with recalling the names. But if I'm going to get electrocuted for getting too close to this thing... Oh, that's probably where the entry is. I might die doing this, though. Okay. Liberal use of the match velocity. Yeah. Alright, well, that's unfortunate, but let's not risk our lives anymore. Let's instead find the ship. This is nowhere near where my ship is. Oh, there we go. Oh, nope, maybe I'm wrong. Oh boy. Let's hope I don't kill myself on the edge. Alright. So I wonder if I can somehow heal myself at the... Marshmallows will make me feel better. See? They're restorative marshmallows. But yeah, so the fact that I can doze off makes me think that there's a time-sensitive... puzzle. Okay, so we've reached the core of Giant's Deep core. Ah, that was a wild one. But since you're asking, I got to assume that you haven't made it down there yourself yet, right? If I tell you how, it kind of feels like cheating. On a completely unrelated note, that sure was a big hollow vine my ship crashed into. Yep. If I were you, I'd go take a walk and see where it ends. You'll want to go to the tail end of this anglerfish skeleton here. Look for a flickering light in the fog. That'll be my old ship. Path starts there. Ah, okay. So there's going to be one thing that I do first. I may not have enough... I may not have enough time, but... Actually, while I'm at it, let's see what the ship's log tells me. I know my device was created to pinpoint the sources of distant signals. Nomai were disappointed by their failure to detect a signal for something called the Eye of the Universe. Alright, we already did that. Feldspar is alive. They crashed their ship and they're now camping inside a huge anglerfish skeleton. Feldspar doesn't think my scout tracker is wrong when it says my scout is in two places at once. They have a theory that space doesn't work the same inside Dark Bramble. Feldspar doesn't sound overly eager to return to civilization. They've been enjoying the relative peace and quiet. And Feldspar hinted that a secret to reaching the core of Giant's Deep lies at the end of the hollow vine that they crashed their ship into. To find Feldspar's ship, I'll want to look to the tail end of the anglerfish skeleton and look for a flickering light in the fog. So, I suppose the trick on this one is it may not actually have anything to do with his ship. He said the tail end, but that doesn't mean... that doesn't actually mean anything. There might be a seed waiting for me there that I wasn't thinking about, so... I do really like how peaceful this game is. I don't really feel any obligation to respect the game's time limit. I do think the time loop thing is interesting. And there have clearly been a couple of times where I wanted to have a conversation and it wasn't finished in time. But this place is just full of interesting places to go. And there's lots to see, so I don't necessarily feel like so far there hasn't been any kind of consequence for redoing things other than to draw the ire of people who know better and clearly just want to see me get on with it. But it's something that I've come to respect a little bit more in games, ones that give, I guess, an interesting enough place that you want to spend the time sitting around looking at it. I think probably one game that really... Oh, wow. This is gonna be an adventure. Alright. Well, let's... Okay, well, there's that music. So right around the time we find something interesting. Now I kind of not want to have to leave. One game that did a really good job of making me feel that way was Surviving Mars. To be able to sort of feel... To be able to just sort of feel like I would take my time and I would build this thing and have it be about sort of hopeful subjects and whatnot. That was really attractive. And oh, wow. Yeah, look at that. I'm definitely coming back here. Tip 4, entry. I'm going to say not 1. Crash is 3. Boring crash is 0. A personal best. Whoa, no. Never thought I'd see one of these beasties outside of Giant's Deep. They were awfully useful back there. Maybe a jellyfish could be useful here too? Ah! This thing tastes terrible. The outside is all rubbery and tough. Maybe that's because it insulates the jellyfish's insides from getting zapped by electricity? Right, I'm going inside this jellyfish's interior cavity to see what's in there. If what's in there tastes any better. This will protect me from the sun. Note to Feldspar, do not eat this even if you are dying. It would be too sad if this were the last thing you ever ate in this life. I guess these jellyfish are only useful for insulation from electricity. Again, do not eat. Love, Feldspar. All right, so he clearly knows more about what's going on if he's leaving notes to his past and future self. Neat. But yeah, I mean, what a great find at the moment I was talking about this. So, you know, games that are kind of comfortable enough in their settings to let you just hang out and see what's happening. All right, I want to go back to the observatory and see if they react to the news that Feldspar is around. I'll maybe take a minute to consult the log when I'm back on the ship. I have a feeling that the log is more like I'm feeling stuck. But I will admit, like, one of the reasons why this again is nothing like Ark or Terraria or anything like that, but I always tend to like games that give me some clear directions, if only just to kick against them. So it's sometimes nice to, I don't know, I guess it's maybe just this idea of external validity. So it's like, oh, hey, I'm interested in checking out this location. I think, you know, somebody mentioned this and this sounds interesting. And to have something in the log say, yes, as a matter of fact, there is something interesting here, is a bit of a I don't know, a nice verification. Hey, look at this. The statue opened its eyes. Bet you wish you'd seen that happen, huh? Me too. I'm not even a little bit closer to understanding what's going on with this statue. Is there something you needed? I found Feldspar. You found Feldspar? And they're in Dark Bramble? Stars above, this is wonderful news. Thank you. Thank you for finding them. That Feldspar didn't immediately join you on your ship and return here is incredibly Feldspar of them. We were never entirely sure what Feldspar was thinking back then either. Still, we ought to fish them out of that dreadful place with all haste. I wonder if that's definitely a very specific choice of words, I feel like. I'll radio Gaussen and have them prepare a ship. It should really be Gaussen who brings Feldspar home. Again, thank you. You can hardly imagine how profoundly happy I am to hear that they're alive and unharmed. Is there something else you needed? I think we'll leave that be. Now, I have a feeling that probably this place is full of little tips about certain things that I'll find in locations. I'll maybe take a look at the angler, seeing as that might be something we encounter later. This angler specimen was found attached to the landing gear of one of our ships that flew close to Dark Bramble. It appears well suited for living in dark places with minimal atmosphere. Okay, maybe not. Fun. Although I suppose if we're in a time loop, I would have to go and tell them to pick up Feldspar each time. It's like the ending of Day of the Tentacle. Okay, yeah. I mean, it's funny, like, I kind of feel like I don't really feel like the log has told me something I don't already know, but there's definitely something very nice about the log saying that thing you said you thought was interesting is in fact interesting. So I think it's a good choice they included it, but for a totally different reason. Like, I think it's kind of clear that I really don't like being told what to do. But there is something really nice about, because I mean, again, like, games look nice enough, like way back when, sorry, I'll take a pause here because I don't want to spend too much time. Like, we did Gabriel Knight Sins of the Fathers on the stream, you know, way back, I guess it's like a year ago now. And like what I noticed about that game was you could tell that an item was important because it had a higher resolution image than what was clearly the background. So like the tweezers are these really nice smooth items, and you use the tweezers to like pick up a snake scale in one of the scenes. So, and I think to a certain extent, like I can definitely think back to some of the older games that I've played, and while it's maybe not as overt as some of the old like Sierra and LucasArts adventure games, like there definitely is just this expectation you have when something looks maybe a little bit better. Like there was just this thing about there were things that were obviously parts for you to interact with. And as games keep getting better, there are fewer and fewer cases where that happens. Like everything looks awesome. I actually think The Division 2 does a really interesting job of handling this. I don't know this for sure, but I think what The Division 2 does is it fills its environments full of like backpacks and suitcases and whatnot. And rather than just being, you need to go and open this chest, it keeps track of how long has it been since you've opened a chest. Because I mean, that's what you do in games like that, right? And instead what it does is it activates one of hundreds of potential things so that you have a fairly regular cadence of doing those actions. So all that I'm trying to say here is that for something like Outer Wilds, which is just a feast for the eyes and an environment that's so interesting to run around, like I can take a quick look here, right? Any one of these objects in the background might be something I could interact with. Like maybe there's a puzzle where I need to get the indigestion causing tree sap, or maybe the pot is something that will defend me from the angler. Like any one of these are a potential answer. The game's been pretty clear about what things I can interact with. They've given me a pretty clear set of tools that I can work with. So I sometimes think putting, those boundaries were sort of inferred by, I guess, getting used to some of the technical limitations of games. And I don't think the older games were bad for that. It's also possible I'm the only person in the world who played games, and I'm like, okay, this thing looks rendered better than another thing, so I'm probably going to be able to do something with it. Or like you could play an old shooter and like, you can shoot something or you can pick it up to use to shoot at something. There's like the only two things you can do with objects in the environment, or walk on something, I guess, is the last action you can take. So it's been kind of interesting to see how games which have these environments where, you can really run around and really they're a feast for the eyes. I kind of feel that it's been interesting to see how different games handle the idea of sort of nudging you in the right direction. So, but yeah, anyways, let's see. Let's just catch up and see where we're going. I also kind of like the idea, given the fact, I'm assuming the timer's still counting when I look at this stuff. 100-ton hammer, thank you very much for the follow. I kind of feel like there's a cost for consulting this. Obviously, you take time, which could be spent exploring. So, all right, so it's not saying there's anything interesting for me to check out here. Frozen jellyfish. Feldspar documented their attempts to eat this. Sorry, I should probably read Feldspar's camp just to be sure. All right. Feldspar documented their attempts to eat this enormous jellyfish frozen in the ice. The outside was all rubbery and tough, possibly because it insulates the jellyfish's insides from getting zapped by electricity. Feldspar decided to venture into the jellyfish's interior cavity to see if it tasted any better on the inside. After tasting the inside of the jellyfish, Feldspar concluded that these jellyfish are only useful for insulation from electricity, which presumably when we get to the planet that has the water and whatnot, we'll need to use. Now, I'm going to make a guess here that because these are green, there's going to be more stuff for me to do, but we haven't unlocked anything new, so the question would be whether or not I want to visit the frozen jellyfish. I can, of course, go back to the eye signal locator, and this will eventually lead us to Whitehole's station, I think, but let's say... yeah, let's say we're going to try the Southern Observatory again. that kind of brings us back. We solved the question of we solved the question of the harmonica. I'll admit, I kind of thought Feldspar was going to be like some final moment, you know, the reuniting with this traveler that's gone before, and that would kind of be like maybe the ending or close to the ending. But it seems like we either found it earlier than expected, or I really hope I don't crash back down onto the planet. Yeah, we're not quite at escape. But yeah, I'm not Hollow's Lantern. He also didn't really tell us a whole lot about what he was up to, so. Yeah, I know someone suggested before that I pause, but I'll say it again. I really don't think that I need to have my experience improved. I sort of think that everybody who pays for a game should be allowed to experience the game that they want to. I have never felt that it is a bad thing that the sun explodes, and I don't know how I can be more clear about the fact that I really think it's not a helpful assumption that people have the idea that they somehow play a game better than someone else. I do my best to be nice about it, but I'm not gonna lie, it's not a fun part about sharing games with people. How you doing? It's huge. We need to be at the South Pole, I think. I could walk, but we've got a spaceship for a reason. That is such a cool effect. I'm glad I didn't go crashing into the planet again. I guess that's because I landed on it, because this thing seemed to be a lot more intact when I approached it. I also really like the reflection effects. God, the sound work on this is so good. It's not just, like, the music to this game is really lovely, and the theme that the different characters sort of say to... Whoa! Alright, that's cool. You know, the theme that the different characters play is really, really catchy. There may not be a way to access this from the outside. I think the little walking indicator is very helpful. It tells me whether or not I've done the full circuit. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so the musical cues of the different travelers and whatnot is nice. Like I said, very catchy and peaceful. Something I could really use to describe a lot of this game. But I am also particularly fond of the game's sort of willingness to use silence. Man, I wonder if there's some... It'd be interesting if there was, like, the solution to this was there's a meteorite that hits and cracks this thing open. All right. So this is the point where I need to figure out whether or not I want to use my signal scope, which is not, they're not terrible. Jesus. Feel like going through the planet is probably the fastest way to find the inside of this. This is one of the problem that I have, or sorry, I keep calling it the signal scope, but I don't actually mean the signal scope. Wait, what?
I would never want to belong to any club that would have
Discondisi. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that name, but thank you very much for the follow. All right. Again, I think it started with a G. This has to be the ship for the other astronaut. It's a slight change of plans. I'm definitely going very far from my ship. But let's see if I can find my comrade. Anyways, yeah, so I was trying to say the choice of using silence rather than the soundtrack, which is admittedly, you know, wonderful, it's a really interesting choice. It's a very effective one, especially on a planet like this where, you know, I feel a certain degree of danger. Okay. I'm definitely going to need to get my ship for that. Ooh. I gotta mind my footing a little bit better. I think one of the things that's pleased me the most about this game is that I sometimes tend to get a feeling for certain titles that I need to make constant progress, and that's sometimes a broadcasting thing because I love getting lost in games. I think I generally prefer encountering things that I don't have answers to than things that I solve right away. But I think in this particular instance, I don't feel the same urgency, let's say, that I do on other titles to make progress. Although I do kind of need to decide how I want to spend my time, so I suppose I can try and discover some sort of entry point to this Oh. I missed it. That's what that ship was supposed to be pointing me towards. Ooh, that's a rougher landing than I think the... Ah! Do not destroy the artifacts. Yeah, that's a rougher landing than I think the engineers wanted me to make. But yeah, so that's obviously what the ship was pointing me towards. But yeah, unlike some other games, this one I really feel like I really don't feel the pressure to get on with it. Like this is worth exploring in its own right. So I'm here! I did it! I put the ship down safely. In that the ship went down, and I didn't sustain any bodily harm. A few minor repairs, and it's like the ship never even hit those rocks. One of my better attempts. Feldspar would barely have laughed at me, I bet. That's the good news. The bad news, I haven't found any way inside this structure yet. The door is broken, and I know I'm not great at exploring, but I think I would have found a different entrance by now if there were one. Probably. I can't get inside from here, but I know that there are paths below the surface. I'm going to head north to the ruins on the equator to try and find a way down. Okay, so I'm going to assume that we don't have any more luck than our comrade. It's a nice little visual cue that you've got your sort of your little anti-gravity marker so that you can distinguish between the ships right away. Alright, I think I'll go to the North Pole. They do mention underground areas. Oh, that's interesting. You know what? I'm not in a rush. A little precarious, but ooh. All right. Oh, ghost matter detected nearby. So okay, so it looks like the ghost matter's inside the buildings. I suspect it's this one, but let's just double check. Yep. It also seems like the ghost matter not only, so it's not just the fact that you can see it with the photo, but it's the fact that there are these little I don't even know what to call it. No marshmallow. Oh, haha! The day is mine. Oh, that's sad. Oh, hang on, that's... Yeah, not quite what I wanted to do, but I'm sure that was educational. But yeah, so it looks like there's a visual cue to... there's a visual cue for the ghost matter that isn't just taking a photograph. Yeah, so that's our three-eyed friend, it looks like. I think this is supposed to be the anti-gravity crystal. Oh, these messages. I should be paying closer attention. The journey here from the South Pole has been, I'm going to go with harrowing because of the meteors. But hey, at least I made it here unconcussed and not on fire. Okay, let's see. I poked around a little, and there's some sort of old Nomai path that starts across from my campsite inside the ruined building with the trees growing out of it. Doesn't look like anything horrible, just stairs leading down. I can handle stairs. After I get my supplies together, I'll follow the path and see where it leads. I will be doing Return of the Obra Dinn, but I've not done it. I've not done it yet. Well, I didn't do that properly. So one thing I really love about this game is how excited I feel to explore a new location for the first time. I'm sure this is purely intentional and that anybody who's played the game, like, this is a very sort of banal thing to say, but I'm actually trying to remember the last time I've sort of felt this excited to just have, you know, oh, it's a new level. I can't wait to see what I'm going to find here. Gravity Crystal Workshop above 140 meters. Hang on, is that really translated? Guess so. And again, it's interesting. I think the music is sort of designed to make me feel under pressure to get stuff done, but I'm going to fight that urge because I'm going to miss stuff if I do that. Untranslated on my writing. Gravity Cannon East 400. Okay, cool. So it's telling me different places to go. I wonder if the destruction of this area starts when I land on it or if it's a time-based thing. Huh. Well, that was deeply unpleasant. I've made it this far, though. Guess that's the path to focus on. And now I'll eventually have to get back up that path. Wow, this place sure is something. Looks like the Hanging City is north from here. At least it, and east is a gravity cannon. I definitely want to see that. And another thing, I'm detecting oxygen from somewhere below, which is good since I used a lot of my supply screaming during the trip down from the surface. As soon as I can stop dry heaving, I'm going to head further down below so I can refill my tank. The writing on this is really good. I like the person who is writing these notes. The Hanging City north. Oh, we're getting close to... Can we get one more marshmallow? Nope. Face the oblivion. God, this is such a beautiful game. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like it seems like something you would almost expect in a game, and yet being able to, actually, I suppose I could say, like, I sort of remember, I guess playing Mario, like, the fact that there was an underwater level I thought was really impressive. Like, I'd kind of gotten used to a world of jumping up and down, and the first time there was a water level, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Let's see where this is going. Because, of course, it was, like, totally different enemies as well. But, yeah, I don't know. There's... Actually, yeah, I guess Mario's done that a couple of times, just in terms of totally different environments and enemies and whatnot. But... yeah, I don't know. I really like the fact that every time I've stepped into a new area here, it's been a really exciting event. That has meant, I wonder what's going to happen here. I'm ready for the next one. Oh, I was just saying Mario, like seeing, like Super Mario Brothers. When I played that, it was sort of, going from the first level to the underground. Like, it's not that wasn't interesting. It's just sort of, I guess because it was level 2, I sort of expected that there would be something different. But doing an underwater level where all the time it had been sort of walking around and and then there's like these octopus enemies that I'd never seen before, and then I think there's like the little fish enemies, which eventually become like flying fish. That sort of stuff, I guess, was really exciting. Like, I wasn't quite expecting to see something like that, and it sort of gave me a new idea of what would be inside, or what could be inside the game. It's a really poor comparison to this, because, like, obviously, every planet there's just been something new. But like I said, it's rare, and it's so funny because there's so many games with so many really beautifully realized worlds. But this is one to really. This is definitely one that's really sticking in my mind in terms of just I want to hang out and see what there is in this place. Hey, Kaylee, you're still here. That makes me happy. Yeah, actually, if you guys are wondering why, I mean, I definitely do a lot of space games on my own, but I have a feeling that Kaylee Cake's return to Twitch has inspired me to do maybe a little bit more space than I would normally do. Okay, let's stop lollygagging and. All right, Hanging City below 50 meters. I'm a little curious where this winds up going, but let's get the information before. Wonderful. Again, guys, I didn't just shout out the Eyes of Sin, Kaylee Cakes, and Uncle Cranky because they're hanging out in my chat. They are very talented casters in their own right, and I do recommend that you guys follow them. They each sort of have their own thing. So Uncle Cranky's been doing some Dark Souls mod and has been doing... I guess I should technically pause for a little bit. He's been doing a Dark Souls mod, and he's been doing Coder of the Old Republic too, recently. He's also a little bit better in terms of watching, because this is a lot later than I tend to go. And he's based in New Zealand, so he tends to cast quite late. Most people who say, you know, I always catch the end of your streams, he's a good recommendation. Kaylee Cakes has been really getting into Deadside lately, but actually Kaylee Cakes is one of the reasons why I've given sort of survival and crafting games another chance, because she used to do a lot of DayZ, or as I would call it, DayZ. But she is an absolute sweetheart, and I'm really happy that she's back to streaming. And of course, the Eyes of Sin is the one responsible for those lovely emotes that I've got in the channel. But I'm gonna have to leave it to someone else to check it out. All right, Clary, our friends, to our friends on Brittle Hollow. I just warped here from the Whitehole station on the other side of Brittle Hollow's black hole. Our design worked. We've successfully recreated warp travel. Indeed. Poke, I don't know... Oh, sorry, let me get that again. Okay, to our friends at Brittle Hollow, I just warped here from Whitehole Station on the other side of Brittle Hollow's black hole. Our design worked. We've successfully recreated warp travel. I don't know how close it is to Anona's original design, but as long as what we've built works, then I am delighted. I knew we could do this. Cassava, I hope you're reading this. Poke. Wait, this thing can't be correct. Clary, have you seen these readings? If they were accurate, they would violate causality. There must be an equipment error somewhere. Poke, I'm returning to the Whitehole station. If you and Root meet me there, we can run a full diagnostic and hopefully locate the problem. Poke, don't tell Cassava. Felix, this is wonderful news. I can't. Oh, so this is the right. Yeah, this is from the route of. We're transmitting from Whitehole Station. This is wonderful news. I can't wait to see the warp tower, although it's been a long time since I've jumped through a black hole. Now this is really interesting that I can remove the scroll. The challenge that I have is I'm not clear what the benefit... The fact that I can do it implies that there is some benefit. But it's not at all clear to me what it is, although maybe those are... I'll stick this one back in. Might be that those are storage chambers for other scrolls, and I will learn what the benefit is momentarily. Alright, so that's the symbol for Brittle Hollow, if I'm not mistaken. That is also the symbol for Brittle Hollow. Alright. Hey, Woven. I'm just getting started. Well, I can't say just getting started. We're probably about 3 hours of playing this, but you know my tendency to chat and take my time. All right, I'm just going to see if I can stick a scroll into these things. I don't think I should be able to, but I'm assuming they're giving me the ability to take it out for some reason. Scroll does not fit. Aha. Alright, so that definitely gives me something to do. Not so much in terms of taking that scroll out, but it's definitely told us that we've got a mission to find scrolls that do fit. And I bet they're not going to be lying on the ground here. Although I see light, so... Oop, that's not quite what I intended to do. I'm assuming this is one of these things where I would use my launcher to look at the pattern above, but I kind of already know what the pattern is. We've seen that elsewhere. I suppose another thing I could have done was try and bring the scroll, but... Yeah, I mean, Kaylee plays very different kinds of games than what I do, but I mean, that's the... I think, you know, anybody who can make me appreciate a style of game that I really had no interest in before, I think is somebody worth examining. Sorry, I'm fascinated by what's going on here. So I don't seem to have any control over this. I'm trying to sort of draw a bit of an inference in terms of what the pattern might look like. Oh, thank you for the reminder. I would have suffocated if I didn't have that warning. All right. Interesting, but I don't have much to do with it right now. Feldspar's sparse jetpack fuel. It's annoying to schlep across the planet to the ship if I can't use my jetpack, so I'm leaving this here. I checked with my little scout. I do too use it, Hornfells, you burnt marshmallow, and the scout's integrity reading said that this piece of brittle hollow is as stable as any, but who knows. If the fuel's still around, feel free to use it. If not, wherever you're reading this note, I'm sure you've got bigger problems. Oh, I'm looking forward to... Yes, I probably should have also mentioned that Kaylee Cakes is a baker extraordinaire. Okay. I don't think I'm going to be able to make this work, but let's try. Yeah, that's too big. Alright, so that's going to take us up from the... center. Let's go from a higher... spot. Okay, so I want to check that out. Looks like I don't have a view. Yeah, the view's not quite good enough over there. It's not that far from the ship. Let's get some oxygen. You play Deadside and other such hives of scum and villainy, and then the baking is so you can talk yourself off the ledge. I like that they included this in here. I love being able to jump over. It's such a little touch, but it's good for the sense of adventure. All right, Felix, has anyone observed the phantom moon that sometimes greets us in the night sky? Your thoughts interest me. Plume, I'm interested in your playful moon. Is it much like its violent friend, Hollow's lantern? Imagine if there were 2 volcanic moons. And I imagine there'd be none of us left. Hypothesis. There can exist too much lava. I strongly prefer we test the null hypothesis. This moon isn't volcanic to my unaided eyes. Sometimes it leaves its friend Hollow's lantern for nights at a time. The nights the moon circles this planet appear random. It seems to travel as it likes. I'll translate it. Oh, sorry. Okay. Has anyone observed Phantom Moon? Okay. I compliment your eyes. How do you imagine it disappears? Hypothesis. Could it be a shift in the light spectrum? I suppose this moon is too shy to show us its face. So, I have a little bit of a pointer, but I feel like there is quite a bit that I need to parse out of that I'm trying to get a little bit of a read for myself in terms of whether or not I have hit a point that maybe I should have gotten to a little bit later. Or... Oops. Or that maybe its secrets will be revealed. I mean, the simplest reading of that I can take would be... I'm not quite sure why I did that. I need to stop doing that, because especially on a planet like this, I could suddenly find myself in a very rough spot. And I really like the lighting effects. So yeah, the simplest reading I can get of that is, here's an interesting place to go and you should maybe check it out. It does seem to be a little bit of a distraction from what my original intention was, which was to find some fancy scrolls. But the fact that I'm sort of exploring areas like this kind of implies that I have abandoned that goal anyway. I wasn't worried about the order of discovery until you said this. I know you're, new to this particular broadcast here, Woven, but I'll try and reiterate it. I think as much as people enjoy certain games, there is a tendency for people who really like something to make sure that other people enjoy it properly, and that can lead to the opposite. So I'm quite comfortable with the way that I'm playing the game right now, and my promise to chat is this: if I'm stuck, if something doesn't make sense, you'll be the first to know, and I'll mention it. Wow, I am really not good at this. Alright, there we go. I've been trying to look at the stuff outside of the big fancy ship. I am so bad with distress beacon. Fascinating. I wonder if this is from the... No. Is everyone unharmed? No one was badly injured from the escape pod's impact. We were incredibly fortunate. This is good news, at least. Have we heard from Escape Pod 2 and Escape Pod 3? No, I'm unable to make contact. My equipment can hear the other two escape pods' distress signals, however. If it's any comfort, both pods must be structurally intact. I'll continue calling for them. My gratitude, if we can. Thatch, the moon's approaching again. Everyone brace yourselves, swiftly. The volcanic moon has returned. Be cautious of falling ash and debris. I believe the moon has passed. This planet doesn't appear eager to have guests. We are certainly unwelcome on its surface. We need to find shelter, and quickly. The volcanic moon won't be gone for long. Observe several promising sites below the surface, but we'll need to construct a way for everyone to climb safely down from this cliff. Perhaps we could build platforms? Okay. I was gonna say this is gonna zap me, but apparently. Ah! Launching escape pod 3, launching escape pod 2, now launching escape pod 1. Collision imminent, preparing for impact. Scanning external environment, scan complete. Minor structural instabilities detected, pockets of breathable air. Okay, let's read this in order. So scanning external environment, scan complete. Minor structural instabilities detected, pockets of breathable air detected, adequate solar energy detected. Verdict, hospitable. Alert, collision imminent, preparing for impact. Oops. Launching escape pod 3, launching escape pod 2, now launching escape pod 1. Begin flight log. Escape pod 1 vessel has been mortally injured. Emergency sequence activated, awaiting departure from vessel. Okay. Well, there's going to be a lot waiting for me in the log when I get back, but I'm going to try and avoid checking it out because I do know I need to wrap it up before too long. Okay, emergency escape hatch, and we're definitely learning something about how these guys, do stuff. Although I suppose it does invite the question, if that is the escape hatch, that is a nice touch. Well done. I suppose that invites the question as to how the original occupants got out, because if that hatch falls out... Oh, man. I think I've created a problem for myself, so... Embrace the void! I think we might be on the interloper. No, we're not. Alright. I was hoping something cool would happen, but... Alright, now this is very different from the last time we wound up going through the white hole. And I do need to be a little conscious of my fuel at this point. So, we'll maybe take a... Oops. Take a little bit of a lighter touch. My ship is a mere 12 kilometers away. Shouldn't be too too tough. Although I also suspect I'm going to need to figure out the oxygen situation before too much longer. Alright, well that's one thing that I don't need to worry about. I believe we are now back to where we wanted to be before. Okay. I still haven't really encountered anything for the projection stone yet. Welcome to Whitehole. I know we've read this before, but let's get reacquainted. Welcome to the Whitehole Station. If you fell through a black hole by accident, don't worry, you aren't the first. This warp tower can return you to Brittle Hollow. Every warp tower is tuned to a specific astral body. To use the tower, stand at the warp platform on the floor and wait until the tower aligns with its corresponding astral body, in this case, Brittle Hollow. If you look up while the station is rotating, you can see that the alignment happens when the astral body is directly overhead. I'm assuming this music plays every time we enter the location. No, I did not prepare for the possibility of oh, we're going to be waiting a while for that alignment. I'm curious what happens if I travel up. Alright, that's going to waste fuel. Ooh. I didn't think that was glass. Ah, okay. I don't think that alignment has happened. Yeah, this is the interesting challenge. It's less clear. Oh, cool. Okay, it does that automatically. That's really neat. And I know we're near a fuel source. Oh, hello. Ah, all right. Return warp status charge. Step onto warp platform when ready. And departure time 11:52:34:307. Arrival time 11:52:34:306. All right, so I'm gonna. Well. Oh, Jesus! Yeah, I think that brings me back to the locations. Let's see if we can do something about the projection stone. I'm guessing no, but aha, well, shows what my pessimism gets me. Rami and I traveled, sorry, this is Pi speaking. Rami and I reviewed the records you sent, Poke, and they appear to show Nomai are arriving at the warp receiver on Brittle Hollow slightly before departing from Whitehole Station. I've already told Rami these measurements can't be accurate. How can Anami arrive on Brittle Hollow before he or she ever stepped onto the teleporter? The implications are absurd. Rami, Poke, as Pi is confident and the reading is inaccurate, she's kindly helping me attempt to recreate this phenomena at High Energy Lab. We're designing an experiment to take more data. Pi, an update. Poke, the High Energy Lab is in the canyon on Ember Twins Equator. Come here at once. You need to see this. So many things to do. Alright, Poke, I don't disagree. It would mean that I've inadvertently broken several fundamental theories regarding this universe. We would have to reconsider all of our beliefs about the nature of time. Rami, yes, I hope so too. And Poke, I understand it's exceedingly odd, but Clary and I have tested and retested the equipment, and the result is the same every time someone warps. Interval is increasingly minuscule, roughly 100,000th of a second. Do you suppose that our instruments can't accurately measure the time to such a small degree? So here's an interesting question. If I put this down... Wow. That's neat. So the only challenge is that I can't actually do much to interact with this environment as soon as I step up. Alright, well let's see. There's definitely something about that. Well, not quite what it used to be, I suspect. All right. It's beautiful. I'm debating about, I kind of wanted to make this the last one because I'm technically half an hour past when I would normally do, but I think I'm going to do one last run here. The catch is that, counter to what I said, I think I'm going to take a minute to review the logs. Because there's a side of me that says, okay, I want to go and investigate Brittle Hollow a little bit more. Obviously, I got a little sidetracked with the with falling into the black hole. But maybe to give me something to look forward to, going to a totally different place might be the done thing. I'm not sure. I have gear options? It's so interesting to see these things branch off. I also need to figure out exactly where the colors are taking me, so sources of distant signals. Alright, Ryback headed to Brittle Hollow to investigate something the Nami were doing at the South Pole. Ryback landed their ship near the big dome at the South Pole. The door leading inside was broken, so they decided to head north to the ruins on the equator in search of a way beneath the surface. This is going to be great between streams so that I don't have to worry about forgetting all the details. Ryback discovered an old Nomai path near their campsite on the equator. The path starts inside the ruined buildings with trees growing out of it. Ryback reached the crossroads and continued downward in search of oxygen. Alright. The Nomai decided to build a larger, more sophisticated eye signal locator on Brittle Hollow South Pole. The door to the observatory is on the surface, but it's broken. We knew that. Yes, although Monday night is always Stellaris. I might this weekend I'm going to be occupied, but if I can, it would be nice to try and get another Outer Wild stream in. But yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday are the standard stream days, with Monday dedicated to Paradox Grand Strategy games. I also announce on Twitter the game that I'm going to be playing when I know it, but I will say Wednesday and Friday are the most likely candidates. And then you can enable the alerts on Twitch if you wanna get an email or something when I go live. Okay, nothing new about Feldspar. Yeah, so we know what we want to do when we get to, I think it was called Deep Hollow. So there's a small argument for me going there. I wonder if these are ever going to get connected to each other, or if these are supposed to be sort of different branches. The North Pole of Brittle Hollow is covered in snow and ice. There is a uniquely shaped Nomai ruin on the surface. The Nomai were able to warp here from the White Hole Station. This is where they first recreated warp technology. The Quantum Moon The Nomai on Brittle Hollow observed a phantom moon that would sometimes appear in the sky, and every Nomai warp tower is tuned to a specific astral body, which of course implies other warp towers. To use a tower, stand on the warp platform and wait until the tower aligns with its corresponding astral body. The alignment happens when the astral body is directly overhead. The Nomai noticed something strange. Warped objects appeared to arrive at the receiver on Brittle Hollow Station slightly before they departed the White Hole Station, thus allowing us to cheat the time that the sun explodes. This negative time interval between an object arriving and departing was incredibly minuscule, roughly 100,000th of a second. The Nomai were skeptical if their equipment could even measure time to such a small degree. The negative time interval was measured at the White Hole Station, which was further investigated at the High Energy Lab in the canyon at Ember Twins Equator. And finally, actually we don't. Escape Pod 1. One of 3 Nomai escape pods that crashed in our solar system. All 3 escape pods were launched from something called the Vessel, which was badly damaged. That could be the thing that was being destroyed when we woke up. The Nomai survivors who crashed on Brittle Hollow climbed down the cliff to a shelter site below the surface. I've had a bug crawling beneath the glass of my monitor all day, and it's come back. Like, obviously I don't want to squish it, one, because it's nice not to squish things, or not to kill things that are an annoyance to you, but number 2, I know that will make it a permanent feature. At the moment I have a live pixel, I guess you might say. But I'm trying to think of ways that I can bait this thing out, because at one point it's gonna have to go. I'm gonna try and not be too distracted by it, but I guess I never really did decide on a location to go to.
For lack of a better word, is
Who
good.
was that?
Just a small encouragement. Thank you for your great content.
Obviously it was me who said that. So I'm sorry I can't thank you directly, but I really appreciate that. Oops, Twitch has made it. I hope I don't smush myself. All right, we made it. Yeah, Twitch has definitely made it that I don't hear that. I don't hear that donation button very much, but that dollar value is certainly quite a bit more than I would. Quite a bit more than I'm accustomed to, and thank you very much for doing that. That's certainly not needed, but I'm not gonna lie, you know, a vote of confidence like that really does mean a lot. It keeps me doing this, not even in like a financial sense, but it is easy to focus a lot on, you know, an unkind YouTube comment, or, you know, Wednesday's stream I sort of felt was a very hard one. And obviously with the, you know, being in a certain degree of pain with the ear, it's definitely very easy to focus a lot on the negatives of streaming. I think I blew it. All right, let's see if we can repair this. I got a little too impatient, so this probably isn't going to solve us. All right, let's unbuckle. Let us first apply first aid. Oh, wow, we fell apart. All right, that's going to be... I don't know if we have any solutions to that. Where's the other part of my ship? All right, well, we said we wanted to explore Brittle Hollow. So I gotta be careful about the speed at which I hit the planet. I also need to keep my oxygen in mind, but it's gonna be really neat to see if I can survive this. Right now, with this entry speed, I am gonna splat on the surface. I don't think there's anything I can do to solve it. Ow! Alright. I did say that was going to be the last run, but that was a little... That's a little cheap if I make that the last one. And obviously somebody was... that was obviously a... that would be really crappy to the person who just donated. if I ended on that. But yeah, sorry, what I'm trying to say is, there's any number of reasons why. I mean, one of the reasons why I have the affiliate links and stuff like that is to be able to sort of convert purchases that might already happen and to get a little credit for redirecting that traffic towards, Humble or Epic or whatever. I will admit, like, as far as an affiliate program is concerned, and as far as a company that I think is doing interesting things, my preference is very much towards Epic rather than Humble. But again, the point here was to do something that made sure that you got something in return, because it's very hard to say that the free content that I do, there's no price for admission. But yeah, like I said, it's very easy to focus on the negative, and I have a bad habit of doing that sometimes. And it makes me appreciate donations like that a lot more. Which is not to imply that I don't appreciate the people who just come by and support the stream. That's also a really big thing, because obviously there's lots of people who stream different games, and I can't necessarily say I bring anything too unique to the table. But I'm glad that there's a group of people who like my stuff. So basically Epic will... So one of the things that Epic has been focusing on is how do you solve the discoverability problem? Now for them, they don't... they're not as focused on algorithms as Steam, and of course they have a smaller storefront, so they can afford to avoid that. And it looks like their feeling is that one of the ways that developers can encourage sort of coverage of their... Obviously there's an interesting landmark for us to check out, but I'm going to focus on the North Pole for now. But yeah, basically their view sort of is that streaming is one way that people will connect with their potential audience. A lot of storefronts have some kind of affiliate program. I think at this point Steam is unique in being the only one that doesn't, although GOG has, as many long-term viewers know, GOG certainly got rid of theirs and then decided not to pay anyone. And while I was going to play nice with them for a while, I did my taxes. Just to give you an idea of what petty dickheads GOG are, the tax information that they sent claimed that they sent me 3 times as much money as they actually did, presumably because they wanted me to get dinged higher on my taxes. But I was able to resolve that, so that's not as big of a deal. But anyways, one of the ways that Epic sort of manages the needs of a developer against what what they do to incentivize streamers. I think for the first year, I don't know if they've continued that, but I think they paid like the first 5% of the revenue share. But what the developer can do is they can set what the revenue share is. So, if you want to assign, let's say, a 20% revenue share to a game, you can do that. And the idea would be is that gives a broadcaster an incentive to stream the game because their share is higher, right? If you can get 20% of a game's sales, especially if that game's not on sale itself. So like, let's say, Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out and you get a 20% cut on that. If you have an audience that really wants to play Red Dead Redemption 2, that's a really good program for you. But one reason why I particularly like it compared to the GOG system was after, I found this out during my dispute with GOG because their contract was revealed as part of that Stardock lawsuit regarding Star Control. The GOG terms were actually that, so how like a storefront takes 30% of the developer's cut? Well, on top of that, GOG was taking the affiliate fees. So like the money I was getting for directing people to GOG, they were taking that out of the 70% that the developer was getting. And they did not tell me that. That is true for everyone that you use a GOG affiliate link on. And if you don't believe me on that, you can actually verify that the GOG contract is part of that Stardock dispute. So if you go and look at the blogs that people were writing, that is something that you can actually go and check for yourself. I was appalled when I read that. And so it's not necessarily the fact that Epic necessarily pays me better. I would say in terms of a broader set of costs, every time I do something that's on Epic, I have to deal with a group of people who come in and say, you know, Epic Game Store is the worst thing ever. How dare you stream stuff that they do? And it's, you know, I mean, I've written, I think, 3 or 4 blogs about the Epic Store now. I joined the affiliate program as a result of writing those blogs because I actually really liked what Epic was up to. And it just sort of seems to me that it's boring and uninteresting to just turn around and repeat the same tired line that everybody else is. But it's not necessarily that. So like in terms of the balance of costs, right, is that it probably pays me better than Humble, but it doesn't, you know, there is the added cost of the fact that it seems to attract a certain type of dialogue, which is really tiresome in the chat. And the reason why I prefer the Epic system, though, is that one, the developers are choosing sort of their level of engagement. So in this case here, you know, I might see a little bit more for streaming a certain game, and that is something that the developer is sort of selected into, and as a result, it's in line with what their intentions are for promoting their game. I suspect, again, like if Epic was going to cover that first 5%, I'm sure that for stuff like Old World, for instance, where they're sort of bankrolling it, and it's a high-profile game that they got from a fairly well-established developer. I suspect in that case they're probably covering a bit of those marketing costs as well. But overall, I just think anything that lets a developer sort of choose what their engagement with content creators, with streamers is a much better system. And I'll be honest with you, I do not know what Humble's terms are. Knowing that one storefront does that, I can't tell you for sure if Humble... I know for a fact, like, so for the Humble publishing stuff, Plume, use caution, the black hole sleeps below, you must not slip. I should have read that before. We wouldn't have slipped last time if we did that. I know for a fact that under certain... Okay, well, for at least one game under the Humble publishing system, the fact that they took sort of a non-recoupable amount of money from Humble as a publisher meant that they didn't get paid when... when their game went into a bundle. And what I noticed was, like, I was reasonably okay, so I'm not well known by anyone's standards. Sorry, I should pause to get this out of the way. I'm sorry, I wasn't really looking at chat. I will catch up with some of the stuff that was happening in chat, but I feel like it's worth talking about this because this doesn't come up very often. So this game was reasonably well known, and I was sort of known for streaming this game insofar as my limited, reach is known, right? Like, you know, my most successful thing is going to be seen by a handful of people at most. But what really interested me is that Humble had never really done any kind of outreach for their affiliate program before. But for that particular game, they did. It was a specific targeted, and you could see the boilerplate and the part where they customized it for me because, like, the fonts were different. And it was, hey, streamer, we've got a really good program where you can make money for getting people to buy up this game. Now, this has never happened for any other game that I have got an established track record for it being in the Humble monthly bundle, now called Humble Choice. It was specifically for that game that didn't have, that I knew Humble would be getting 100% of the proceeds from. And so it seems to me that what Humble's strategy there was to take all of the goodwill and all of the work that developer had done towards building an audience and building a relationship with streamers, and to convert that from sales where the developer would be getting some money from it into something where Humble would get a 100% amount. Now, it's obviously not Humble's job to disclose the fact that was their contract, but the fact that was the only game out of probably about 4 where I've got a really long track record of covering those games and were in fact in Humble Monthly sort of before and after. I have to wonder if that targeting specifically came because of the specifics of that contract. And so, having now participated in these 3 affiliate programs, only one of them really actually seems to be centered around the developer having control over what they're giving up, being able to set a price in terms of what coverage means for them. And more importantly, the fact that, Epic was willing to put their money where their mouth was and to be able to say, we're going to show you that this system works for the first year, to me is quite a bit more appealing than this situation of saying that because I know this, because I had to find out from entities other than the people I was entering into that affiliate program with what the cost to the developer was. I ultimately find Epic's mode to be more transparent and ultimately more developer friendly. And I think that's the really important thing for me, because I don't really like the idea of taking money out of the developer's pocket unwittingly, which is exactly what those other programs did. That game was called Cultist Simulator, Glager. Eyes of Sin, I like the Snowy Bit a bunch too. I'm sorry I didn't get back to that. And while I'm at it, so this would be the Epic affiliate link for Outer Wilds, but if you type System Chalk at the when you go to buy something on Epic, I think even if you type system, it'll auto-populate my name. But, and yeah, I should mention that for the Cultist Simulator, this is before all the news happened. So my outrage was obviously a little different than what it would be if I were to find that out today. But yeah, I just generally, chat said, yeah, that's exactly what GOG did, Woben the Wonder Dog. But yeah, and it looks like Woben said where the affiliate link was. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I maybe, like, if I were to take the money that I get out of this stuff, like, once a year, I'd maybe cover like a month of internet with it. Like, I don't see a lot of money out of this stuff, but I think it's really important to talk about this stuff because, I mean, G2A became a thing because there were so many streamers that wanted to make money off of their broadcasts, and they were able to turn around and say, hey, here's a great way to, get some games. I actually specifically remember a streamer who wanted to co-cast Men at War Assault Squadron with me, and they put a lot of pressure on me to buy the game, and specifically to buy the game using the G2A link. And I did. I hate myself for doing that. I didn't know what G2A was at the time, but the mere fact that I let somebody kind of pressure me into buying anything to co-cast with them at all. They weren't even a bigger streamer than me. They were just somebody that was on a stream team with me. That was a really crappy thing that they did. But then, of course, everyone knows now that G2A is a really horrible company. But again, like, the whole reason why they became a thing was that, streamers want to make a buck off of what they're doing. There's nothing wrong with wanting that. And when they offer you this deal of, you're going to get a certain fraction of the sales that we make, suddenly G2A is a lot more normal than it would have been if it's just some, dodgy guy coming up and say, want to get some discount games. So it's why, again, I know you guys are here for the Outer Wilds, but when questions about like how the remuneration works, I think it's worth talking about that stuff. And I think, everybody's got an opinion on the Epic Store. It's not my job to tell people how to think about it, but it's little details like that I really don't think get told about the Epic story, and why I think there is a lot more nuance to the discussion than people do. Like from what I've seen on this, I get free games out of it. And the way that I see them behaving with developers from like my perspective is one that is very much about making sure that the people who make interesting stuff like Outer Wilds are paid a much, in a much more transparent way, and one that isn't necessarily locked into a dollar value that, basically Apple and Google set once upon a time. That's maybe the last thing that I can say is that, Epic's target isn't Steam's. Epic's target is Apple and Google. Nobody serious thinks that they're going to be replacing Steam. But what they are going to do, and what they've kind of already succeeded in doing, is help drag down the fees that companies pay. Plume, of note, be sure not to wander far from here. Though this area is somewhat unstable, it's safer than any we've found so far. The temporary settlement is finished, but remember to be cautious of falling rocks and dust created by meteor impacts. Okay, so I gotta find some oxygen. Oh, that's encouraging. So I don't normally like rushing through stuff, but again, I do need to find a tree at some point. Thatch, this knowledge is too dear to lose. Here's everything we can recall about the signal we encountered while aboard the vessel. The signal was older than the universe itself. This is the most significant detail. No Nomai clan has ever encountered anything like it. How can anything in this universe be older than the universe itself? Imagine what rare and profound knowledge it might offer. Imagine what rare and profound knowledge it might offer. We must find this eye of the universe. The signal looked like an eye, round, with a circle at the center, much like a pupil. Suppose the signal was looking for something. Okay, that's really interesting. I didn't think I was literally looking for an eye, but that's exactly what that's telling me. Oh boy. All right. Again, I don't like rushing through stuff, but I need to think about the most economical way of finding a tree without using fuel. They were talking about a temporary shelter, but I didn't get a close enough view of where they were talking about. All right, let's just do a Hail Mary. Again, the sound work on this is absolutely exceptional. Oh, I see a tree. The question is whether or not we'll make it on time. Oh, come on. Oh, we were so close, too. You may be underestimating the ambitions of video game company product manager. Oh, you mean like the, you mean like Epic being able to take us to, well, like, don't get me wrong. Like, if Epic had a way of being able to, like, drive a stake through the heart of, I really should be ending at this point, but I did spend some time talking about, the different storefronts. So no matter what happens, this will be the last run. Yeah, so, like, don't get me wrong. Like, clearly any company that, enters a market, I'm sure they would love to be the only player in that space. But I just think that it's probably... it would seem to me that Steam needs to screw up in a truly, a truly cartoonish kind of sense, for that to be an even remote possibility. And I mean, when I just take a look at what Epic's incentives are, so like if they're able to put a dent in the App Store and Google Play, right, and you think about the amount of money that Fortnite makes, that is, I think, worth quite a bit more than most other companies, than it would be for most other companies. And I think viewing Epic's behaviors in that sense, and also little details like the fact that, like I'm someone who uses an iPhone, so I know when I go searching for a game on the iPhone, based on the search term, there's going to be advertisements for games other than the one that I was searching for in there. That means that in addition to spending the 30% to get on, to sell your game on Apple's App Store, they're sort of arming the competitors, the people who are willing to pay advertising, to have someone else, look at their game. I'm sure it's the same on the Google Play Store as well. It's just I've never used it, right? I think, when you're using that as your baseline, I kind of feel like the mobile stores are probably the bigger scalp that Epic wants to take. Yeah, I mean, I've got a fairly sizable Steam library too. It's interesting to note that GOG was quite unsuccessful in being able to reduce the stickiness of the Steam library, because they used to have a GOG Connect program where people would wait, this is the wrong spot. They'd basically, I think they would pay. I can't remember how it worked out, but basically you would connect it on Steam, or you'd connect your Steam account. One, they would get information about your Steam account, which is valuable to them. I also think that's why they're unified, like their GOG 2.0, where they're unifying all the storefronts. The value to them is not necessarily being able to sell you more GOG games, but being able to get more information about you as a player. I mean, you're getting a service in exchange for it, but it would be nice if they were a little more transparent about what they're trying to get. Yeah, like it's pretty clear that this whole idea of being able to take your Steam games and then have them on this other storefront wasn't enough to dislodge people from having the idea of Epic as the place that you go to buy games. Sorry, I think I messed up the different company. GOG's attempt to dislodge Steam. Epic is, much better capitalized. I mean, GOG lost money. Now it might be an accounting thing, but if you look at CD Projekt Red's latest report, GOG was a money-losing proposition. Now they say that they're back to profitability now that those events have stopped happening. I'm just taking a minute here to see if there might be a slightly more interesting place for me to approach. I mean, if I was really brave, I could try. Ooh, this is gonna get a little dicey. But yeah, Epic, is better capitalized, and it seems that they're kind of making the bet on new games, and they're sort of normalizing the idea of buying new games on this platform. Exclusivity is one way that they do that, but even things like the fact that if you get Total War Saga Troy on the, within the first 24 hours of its release, you like you get it for free. And again, that's, you know, getting the idea. A new game has come out. You go to Epic to get it. You don't go to that other storefront, is what they're establishing. And again, we talked about this earlier. Like, it's the difference between trying to build an audience versus trying to maintain one. I also think it's a smarter choice on Epic's point of view, because I mean, the thing is that, like, I own lots of games on Steam, but realistically, how many of them am I going to play? I think there is actually something to be said for the fact that the Epic library, I mean, with the free games, you're probably going to get a bunch of stuff which you're taking because it's free. But when you're buying those games, I think one nice little thing about the Epic strategy that's going to work for them is the fact that your Epic library is going to be much, like, the ratio of stuff that you want to play right away to the stuff that you're sort of sifting through because you got it on, like, a Humble Bundle or something like that. I actually think that that's going to create a situation for a brief period where the Epic account gets associated with, you know, this is where I have the games that I want to play, and they might be able to capitalize on that. I don't know though, right? It's all speculation. Anyways, I'm happy to answer other questions about Epic, but I'm gonna try and be a little more kind to Outer Wilds. We were so close. Oh, hang on, we've been here already. I think I just found another... Oh, no, this is different. I mean, I don't think I'm ever gonna be able to quite recreate my path back here, but... Yeah, Glager. I mean, I think that's true for a lot of people. I probably have a willingness to try more new things, so I believe I have opted into a couple of... Yeah, actually, no, sorry. There are 2 games that I actually opted into over Steam. But, I mean, I already have a pretty sizable Epic library at this point, so, like, I don't feel the same caution as someone who's like... You know, what happens if, you know, Epic goes under? You know, do I get to keep my copy of Red Dead Redemption 2? Oh, it's already available on Steam, so, you know, I might as well buy it there because it's familiar. Alright, Solanum, I'm at the shuttle. I'm ready to make my first pilgrimage to the Quantum Moon. That's exciting. You're almost ready, but there's still one more rule that you need to learn. Come see me at the Tower of Quantum Knowledge. The tower's on the opposite side of Brittle Hollow. If you can follow the path west to the crossroads, you can reach the tower from there. My gratitude for the directions, Bells. I'll see you soon. I wonder if that tower I was looking for earlier is the same. Sleepy Larch, thank you very much for the subscription. I never realized the way my character looks. That's a really cool look. Yeah, Sleepy Larch, thank you very much for the Prime subscribing with your Twitch Prime. That is, I will say, I try not to push the Prime subscriptions. I know that is a coveted subscription that a lot of streamers put a lot of effort into grabbing, so that is not lost on me that you had lots of other options to do that, so I really appreciate that. All right, let's see where this takes. Oops. I was gonna say let's see where this takes me, but hopefully doesn't like launch me into the stratosphere. But looks like there's a roof to stop me from doing something too reckless. All right, I was not expecting trees out of that. So, I mean, again, I can do the leap of faith to try and get in there, but there could be... I feel like there should be another way that doesn't involve me, like, leaping to my my death. I'll take it slow. It's not necessarily better than any other. It's the idea that, yeah, so this isn't necessarily about the dollars that you get. It's just the fact that if you have a Prime subscription, you're kind of, the Crossroads West 350. So it's the idea that people who have a Prime account are likely to keep it because, you know, it's Amazon's... It's Amazon's thing, right? Like they've designed that to be a fairly sticky purchase. You know that that person is going to have at least one subscription, and it's not going to be the sort of thing where somebody says the Southern Observatory South 550. It's going to be one of these things where people say, you know, it's going to be less likely than someone looking at their budget and saying, you know, I really need to cut back and it sucks, but I am going to have to, you know, cut some subscriptions. And look, nobody wants to be the one that gets cut, but the fact of the matter is like $5 per subscription, and especially because a lot of streamers will really push it as like, if you really like me, you know, you'd spend $5. It's only $5. It's the cost of a cup of coffee, blah, blah, blah. You know, like... There is a certain emotional attachment that people try to create to that I don't really think is entirely appropriate, but it's probably better for me to focus on what I do as opposed to what others do. So given the fact that, you know, a Twitch Prime subscription, like you know, somebody removing that is probably a bigger disruption than it is, you know, unsubscribing from a channel individually. And given the fact that everyone who has a Prime account definitely has a subscription available, it's just sort of viewed as this low-hanging fruit that people can go for. So yeah, it's just sort of the idea, you know, if you're going to be banging out the subscription, if you're going to try and get that monthly number up, you know, Prime is just, it happens to be a nice, somewhat steady, and it's one that, you know, like the biggest thing. So again, I'm going to talk in a way that I do not like thinking of viewers. But if you think of everyone who comes into your stream as like a potential mark, that it's potentially going to be where you get your next subscription from, the thing is that you don't know whether or not someone has the means or the inclination of subbing to you. Again, I want to be really clear on this. Not every streamer looks at someone that way. That is the most like naked capitalistic way that you can look at viewers. And I am not at all saying that this is an appropriate or acceptable way to look at someone. But with that in mind, you know, there's the question, do they have the means and do they have the inclination? And then if you had perfect knowledge of everyone, you would then potentially pursue the people who had both the means and inclination. And then the second most difficult would be the people who have the means but maybe not the inclination and try to convert them. And then, of course, you know, particular scumbags would try and find the people who don't have the means and bleed them out somehow anyway. And what having Prime does is that immediately signals that someone has the potential to bestow a subscription through an ancillary service that they're already working on. And so it means that sort of the distance between going from someone who's not sub to sub was potentially smaller. But again, I want to be really, really clear. people really shouldn't be thinking about other people that way. The shuttle is currently resting at the Quantum Moon. Activate the gravity cannon. Call the shuttle home. Well, okay, well, obviously, if you're going to have a gravity cannon, you have to... Oh. This is Chekhov's gravity cannon. Was exciting. Oh, that is cool. Yeah, I mean, I actually drink... Oh, crap. I didn't quite realize what was happening until it was too late. That was definitely fun, though. Alright, a mere 24 kilometers. Oh, crap, but I've got 3 minutes of oxygen. Actually, maybe this will... I shouldn't be wasting my resources on it, but... Yeah, I also don't drink, like, specialty coffees. I drink a black cup of coffee. So, the price of a cup of coffee argument doesn't work for me either, but... I'm here. After watching it wander the skies for so long, I am about to stand for the first time on the Quantum Moon. As expected, my shuttle has landed at the moon's south pole. I will make the remainder of my journey on foot. We don't know why the Quantum Moon always welcomes its visitors at the South Pole, it's just that this is true. As a child, I considered such unknowns sinister. Now, though, I understand that they bear no ill will. The universe is as we are. I am ready. Alright. So I guess this is... the controls? Whoa! Well, now I've gone and done it. So good news is I have a source of oxygen. Bad news is I don't have... I don't have an obvious way of getting to a spot where I can return to my ship. We're 11 kilometers. We can make it, right? And then I think this brings me right back to the white hole. Okay. Gotta make some choices about how I want to spend my fuel, but it looks like there's interesting stuff for us to explore here, so... Although I could stand to be a little less aggressive with my movements. Yeah, I mean, I'm quite lucky. Like, you know, I'm at a university. I have a like a big person job, so I am not at the point where I need to decide between coffee and supporting streamers. But that is not true of everyone. Like, if I wanted to monetize the stream more aggressively, there's lots of stuff I can do. I can do subscriber only. I can do make the VOD subscriber only. I could run ads a lot more. That's technically a quote-unquote free way of doing that. But I sort of think it defeats the original purpose of doing the stream, which was, you know, sharing games that I found interesting with people. Well, that didn't work as intended. How confident am I that I can get 31 kilometers? I definitely need to find a source of fuel. Yeah, that's not really gonna help me, is it? Well, I gotta pick something, so. Okay, let's let. Nope. Well, maybe this will take me to my. This will indirectly take me to my ship. 34 kilometers is that's a pretty heroic ask, I think. But yeah, anyway, sorry. I didn't mean the last run to be so much about Twitch and storefronts and whatnot, but it's pretty clear this last run was more of a, hey, let's see what cool things we can do on our last try. I figure when we come back to this game, I'll be able to think a little more clearly on what I want to accomplish, where I'm going to focus. Time to get stressed, Sean. By the way, guys, speaking of support, if there is someone you want to support, Sean's itch page does have a pay for this stuff option. So if you like his stuff, if you want to keep seeing him make it, I do encourage you guys to check that out. Well, this would get me back to... Well, let's face our doom in a fancy location. Oh, come on, damn it. We gotta be getting close. Oh, actually, our ship's a lot closer than I thought it was. Guess it's a little late to try and jump out to it. Oh, hi, son. Nice. I think there are also probably more topical avenues for support, also, given that you also have a grudge. Yeah, I mean, yes, actually, that is true, Sean. Obviously, any dollar that someone spends on anything can be weighed against any other potential source. That is true. I also kind of think, to a certain extent, like, there's nothing stopping you from reinvesting that elsewhere. But I don't know. It's such a hard line, because like I've done charity streams, right? And the first question that I ask about charity is, why this one over another? And I think in the end, given the fact, in the end, people are going to spend money on stuff that they want. And I don't necessarily think, like, given the nature of what money is, obviously $1 you spend on one thing is $1 you can't spend on another. But especially when we're talking about small amounts, I definitely sort of feel that I can do both. But yes, you are correct that as much as I'm pushing your stuff, there is a particular need in today. Oh, Itch is a more sort of indie focused game platform. It's really good for finding original stuff. All right. Thank you everybody for watching. We got about 4.5 hours out of this. I know your marker at the bottom of your screen is gonna say 3.5, but that was because we had to reset after an hour to get transcodes. This game is, I can't say everything I was expecting, because of course I was going in with few expectations, but it is very clear to me why it is absolutely one of these games where you want to say to someone is like, don't read about it, don't do anything, just play it. I am thoroughly enjoying the fact. So I was really at odds about the fact that, I'm willing to, when it comes to games, I'm really willing to I'm really willing to talk about off-topic stuff. This doesn't mean it's kind of clear, like, when I pause and hold forth on a topic, that I'm not playing it. So like right now, I am not playing The Outer Wilds, although I am discussing it. But sometimes being able to talk about other topics is just a chance for me to have a little bit of mental rest and not constantly verbalize what I'm thinking of at the moment. And just kind of think about what I want to do next. And certainly Outer Wilds seems to kind of have this feast of options in terms of, of where you go to explore. I mean, we've been at Brittle Hollow, we've been, I guess, 4 planets, if I include the planet that you start on. And there's definitely more for us to investigate it. Yeah, no problem, Sean. I'm really happy that you were here for that, because I'm not kidding. Like, it was specifically your recommendation. Like, I know where we have differences of opinions on games, but it is very specifically the fact that you liked it and you thought it was something special that made me buy it. I had actually gotten to a point where I was like, I spent a little bit too much on games on the Epic sale. I probably shouldn't get anything else. And then you were talking about Outer Wilds, and I was like, okay, this is the thing I've got to get. But yeah, I was quite surprised. So one of the things I was most worried about is the fact that this thing is, I had been given very broad strokes, kind of information that timing was a thing in the game. And I know, because I have a tendency to digress, that is potentially in conflict with a game which cares quite a bit about how you spend your time. But what I was very pleasantly surprised by is just how much Outer Wilds encourages you to explore. Like, even the fact that the game seems to blow you up in like 15 to 20 minutes. I've never felt a need to rush. And in fact, when I felt rushed in an area, that is when I have missed information. And I really like games like this. I'll be honest with you, I would love to get back to Wolfenstein on this stream. I love first-person shooters. I love really heavy action-oriented games. I don't play them on stream as often because I don't think there's as much added value. But especially after a crummy day at work, or an opportunity to just sort of kick back and just enjoy myself in a game, stuff like Surviving Mars, or things that sort of let me take my time. This is the weird thing. Like, Outer Wilds has a mechanic that clearly puts a hard limit on how much time you can spend doing stuff, and yet I have felt that the greatest enjoyment is just being able to stop and smell the roses. It's really interesting how they pull that off. I'm gonna need to think about this a little bit more. But yeah, it's neat. The log, I'm actually kind of feeling, so I think the log is going to be helpful for me just to kind of clear out the cobwebs between streams. I don't plan on taking a really long time between streams on this, but if I have my regular schedule, I mean, the earliest that I would do this would be on a Wednesday, and I still have like Chimera Squad and Age of Wonders Planetfall, which I've accepted press keys for, so I want to make sure that those are getting some reasonable coverage. But like I said, the stream is about sharing stuff that I find interesting, so it doesn't mean that I'm gonna abandon Outer Wilds to something else. But yeah, this is really neat. I am definitely interested in seeing where it's going. If it feels like I was like, so obviously I was talking about the Epic and the Steam stuff. I was a little more permissive in terms of just going off topic. By the way, the little explosions in the background mean a heck of a lot more right now. I'm assuming there's a many worlds thing going on based on the write-ups. Or potential. I mean, it could be the time loop, or it could be many worlds, or it could be both. I don't know. Yeah, I sort of got the impression that I'm at a point now where I'm going to need to decide what mystery I want to sort of dedicate my energies towards. I feel like we've been going to Brittle Hollow a whole lot, but I also feel like Brittle Hollow has a whole lot for me to go really digging into. So I'm not opposed to jumping back there, but there's also sometimes some virtue in trying something totally different just to gain an extra perspective. And all of the perspectives that Outer Wilds offers you are so, they're so interesting. But yeah, Glager, thank you very much for hanging out. Especially thank you. So for those of you where, it was feeling like I was getting very testy about the potential backseating stuff, I actually really appreciate you guys sticking through that. And I need to be clear, it's very hard to let people appreciate why things are that strict. And the best that I can just say is that the smallest thing, as soon as that gets open to crack, I've had enough years of experience with this, knowing that the slightest, death waits for the slightest lapse in concentration. For Darkest Dungeon fans. It has always been the case whenever whenever one small thing goes through, it never stops with that. And I think overall, despite a little uncertainty earlier on in the stream, I was actually quite happy with how it managed to sort of get controlled in Outer Wilds. My biggest fear about streaming this game has not been realized, which I appreciate a lot. Like, it's just because I get testy about it does not mean that I'm incapable of appreciating chat's discipline. And because chat is so unwieldy most of the time, it is something that I particularly recognize and appreciate. So it's worth mentioning. I will just briefly say, you might see another profile created next time I play this. My promise to you is I am not going to check anything that I haven't done already, but I might, especially because I've got this ear thing, and I'm actually feeling a lot better about it right now. But if I'm feeling particularly miserable, I might make another profile just so I can wander around some places I've already been and really admire it. But we'll definitely be getting back to this game relatively soon. Yeah, no problem, The Eyes of Sin. I was actually, I was really happy that you got to see this, because It's, I don't know, it feels like something that might be up your alley. I know this is an impossibly long goodbye, but I'd love it if you guys would hang out for a quick second. In order to maintain frame rates, I'll admit I'm becoming less and less impressed with Streamlabs broadcasting software. I might go back to the regular OBS Studio. But I would love to pass along... I'd love to pass along the audience to somebody streaming. And Sparkle Jess is streaming right now. So let's see what she's up to. She was doing Oxenfree last time we saw it.
Absolute sweetheart.
Okay, looks like she is actually doing Animal Crossing New Horizons. So it's definitely a different... Hey, Kaylee Cakes. I wasn't sure if you'd gone to bed or not, but thank you very much. Actually, seeing Kaylee Cakes. So Eyes of Sin is doing some emotes for... Oh, actually, sorry. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Eyes of Sin is doing emotes for someone. No. These are two people who seem to have gotten along really well, and actually makes me really happy that they're getting along. Talwin, I hope you were watching. We're actually wrapping up right now. You caught the end. Okay, good. Thank you very much for hanging out. Yeah, I'm actually really happy that the two of you... I'm really happy the two of you get along, because you are two people I really like seeing inside the stream, and I actually like watching both of you stream. But I don't want to take too much away from Sparkle Jess. So she's also a streamer who streams a bit later than I do. She is currently doing Animal Crossing's New Horizons, which I haven't played myself, but I understand that this Tom Nook character is apparently sort of the embodiment of capitalism, and I feel that there aren't enough positive portrayals of capitalism in games. So I think it'd be wonderful to pass it along with her. Like I said, we originally found her because she was playing Oxenfree, and I think it would be great if we can show her a bit of support. So even if Animal Crossing New Horizons isn't your cup of tea, I would strongly encourage you guys to... Oh, why isn't this letting me... I encourage you guys to just hang out for a little bit, see if it's your kind of thing. I have always been very pleasantly surprised by the kind of people who I find on raids and whatnot. So we will pass it along, and I hope... Hey, just wanted to see if I could grab you for a couple minutes after you're done with the stream. No problem at all, Valiant Cheese. I will hop on Discord as soon as I send off this raid. So thanks for letting me know. Thanks, all of you, for agreeing to the raid. We will send you off to Sparkle Jess. Have a good time.
Oh, limit redemptions per stream.